The next page is the cover of Nintendo Dream Magazine, Volume 80. It features Jill Valentine from Resident Evil Zero, Biohazard Zero in Japan, holding a gun. The cover also promotes The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, the upcoming Silver Nintendo GameCube, Metroid Prime, Zero GC, and Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, as well as Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire. The next page is a full-page advertisement for One Piece Treasure Battle on the Nintendo GameCube. It shows the Straw Hat Pirates in a treasure hunting themed game. The ad emphasizes teamwork, puzzle solving, and special moves. It also highlights the game's graphics, multiplayer mode, and the inclusion of a card game collection. Several PlayStation 2 games are also featured in the ad. These include .hack/Infection Volume 1, .hack/Mutation Volume 2, SD Gundam G Generation Neo, Mobile Fighter Gundam The Battle, New Mobile Report Gundam Wing The Battle, Idol Janshi Tsuchipai, and Cyborg 009 The Block Kuzushi. This page is an advertisement for Kinnikuman 2 Generations for the Nintendo GameCube. It showcases the game's tag team wrestling action with a variety of characters, including Kinnikuman himself and various other wrestlers. The ad highlights several game modes, including Story Mode, VS Mode, Tournament Mountain Mode, Kinnikush Mode, and Superhuman Mode. There is also a pre-order bonus of 10 Kinnikuman erasers. The next page features a full-page advertisement for Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance. It showcases the new trainers, Brendan and May, and the 3 starter Pokémon, Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip. The tagline for Ruby is, "Mysteries expand in the Pokémon world," while Sapphire's is, "Mysteries deepen in the Pokémon world." The ad also mentions the game's release date, November 21st, the suggested retail price of 4,800 yen, and that it supports 14 players. The advertisement also showcases the new Double Battle system and secret bases. It also shows the URL for Nintendo's website. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page features a double release announcement for strategy guides. One is for the GameCube game Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, titled Eternal Darkness, invited 13 people. A 128-page B5-sized guide, priced at 950 yen. It promises complete coverage of the game, with detailed maps and strategies for each chapter, a monster encyclopedia, and information on spell creation and usage. The other guide is for the Game Boy Advance game, Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, known as Kirby of the Stars, Dream Spring Deluxe. Also 128 pages, but a 5 size, and priced at 1,200 yen. This guide focuses on the enhanced GBA version of the game, boasting a horizontal layout for easier viewing and featuring an original coaster. There are screenshots and level layouts with tips, and it highlights the side route options in the game. A unique feature is the inclusion of fan-submitted illustrations within the guide. A special coaster is included with the guide. The next page is a reader giveaway from Nintendo Dream, encouraging readers to send in postcards for a chance to win. Prizes include a Nintendo GameCube in the new orange color, a Game Boy Advance, a Wavebird wireless controller, and a GameCube controller. Also up for grabs are copies of Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, for the Game Boy Advance signed by Masahiro Sakurai, Toshihiko Suzuki, and Ishuke Nakamura, as well as special Nindora-themed Kirby mousepads signed by the same individuals. Other prizes consist of a memory card, 251 for the GameCube, one of the winner's choice of any GameCube game released by November 30th, one of the winner's choice of any Game Boy Advance game released by November 30th, and Momotaro Dentetsu, 11 for the GameCube. Further entries include K1 Pocket Grand Prix 2 for the Game Boy Advance, Best Play Pro Yakyu for the Game Boy Advance, and Medicom Toys Seton Series 1 toys from Animal Leader. The deadline for entries is December 20th, 2002, with winners announced in Nintendo Dream Volume 83, released on January 6, 2003. This page is a preview of upcoming games and events for November and December 2002. It highlights the Sega Dream World event held at Sega headquarters on November 23rd, which features playable demos of 22 Nintendo titles. The event includes giveaways and the chance to enter Sega's headquarters, with the possibility of creators making surprise appearances. The page then details the Nintendo GameCube version of The Legend of Zelda and its pre-order bonuses. It also notes the release of the GameCube version of Mr. Driller, marking Namco's first entry into the GameCube market through a business partnership with Nintendo. The magazine looks forward to a promising start for Driller and other future titles. The monthly calendar lists game release dates and events, including titles such as Super Monkey Ball 2, Biohazard Zero, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, Nintendo Dream Volume 80, Kinnikuman 2 Sei, New Generation Choujin vs. Legendary Choujin, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, NBA Live 2003 and The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, plus others. The calendar spans from November 21st to December 21st. This page features the Nintendo Hyper Ranking, a list of top-selling games for the GameCube and Game Boy Advance from October 21st to November 3rd. The top 20 Nintendo software sales chart is led by Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, followed by Tales of the World, Narakiri Dungeon 2, and, from TV animation One Piece, Treasure Battle. Other notable titles include Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Monster Farm Advance 2, Super Mario Advance 3, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, and Star Fox Adventures. The right side shows the most anticipated new games, according to reader votes. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, leads the pack, followed by Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Other titles in this section include Resident Evil Zero, Star Fox, tentative title, and Metroid Prime. There's a section discussing game commercials that left a lasting impression, mentioning titles like Super Mario RPG, Mother 2, Ocarina of Time, and the initial reveal of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. A smaller section shows the results of a Nintendo Dream Volume 78 poll, listing favorite games featured in the commercials, including GC Variety Lineup, Mario Party 4, and Super Smash Bros. DX. The next page is an advertisement for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time GC. It announces a special campaign disc for those who pre-order The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, from November 28th. This disc allows players to access the Master Quest version of Ocarina of Time, a version that was originally developed for the 64DD but never released. It also announces the wireless Wavebird controller, set to release on December 5th for 4,500 yen, and notes that the American version was gray, whereas the Japanese version is silver. This page is an advertisement for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time GC, included with pre-orders of The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, which is set to release on December 13th. The campaign starts November 28th. This disc includes the Master Quest version of Ocarina of Time, a modified version of the dungeons. The page also mentions new footage for Biohazard 4, Resident Evil 4, and Zero GC, with the suggestion of more content on the disc, as well as screenshots of the new features. Plus, a poster is available at local stores. Additionally, it announces a new silver color for the GameCube and its controller, set to release on December 1st. The page shows the console and controller, noting it's the first new color since the orange and black versions. Also, a new emerald blue controller is shown as well. The next page is a preview of upcoming Capcom titles for the GameCube. It covers the November 14th press conference revealing 5 adult-oriented games from Capcom's 4th development division, known as Mikami Kubu, responsible for the Resident Evil series. The page features logos and screenshots for the titles, along with details about each game. Resident Evil 4 is mentioned with a 200X release date, featuring Leon S. Kennedy. Beautiful Joe, slated for a spring 2003 release, focuses on a man who becomes a superhero to rescue his girlfriend. Page N.03 is also set for a spring 2003 release, and features a female soldier named Vanessa Z. Schneider. Killer 7, coming in winter 2003, is a stylish action-adventure game. Finally, Dead Phoenix has a summer 2003 release, with a story about bird people and aerial combat. The page also includes a picture of the directors involved, highlighting their personalities. There's mention of a more in-depth look at the conference in the next issue. This page is a feature on the Wavebird wireless controller for the GameCube. It aims to address concerns about wireless performance. The page includes a specifications chart listing details such as weight, 214 grams, battery life, approximately 100 hours with alkaline batteries, 16 available channels, and a communication range of up to 6 meters. It notes that the controller does not have a rumble feature. It highlights that the wireless signal works well, even when facing away from the receiver, and multiple controllers can be used simultaneously. The text also mentions battery life and the need to switch off the controller after use. The page also features a news blurb about Kururin Paradise, with images of the characters and art from the game being filmed at a library, and a poster for Mario Party 4, and a search for retailers who are hosting a tournament for the game. This Sega Magazine preview features F-Zero GCAC, provisional title, highlighting Toshihiro Nagoshi's vision for the game, emphasizing speed, control, and unique character design over hyper-realistic car models. A new Phantasy Star online quest involves player typing for puzzles, as seen in a screenshot. Derby Stallion Advance commercials will feature Yuko Ogura, with pre-order bonuses including a 2003 calendar. A Kirby-themed streetcar is appearing at the Kagoshima Ohara Festival. Finally, Hoshi no Kirby, Kirby of the Stars. Anime News details 2 episodes, one with Day educating delinquents, and another where he launches a cooking program to gain better food. The next page highlights 3 games recommended by the Mario Club. First, Battle Network Rockman XC3, Mega Man Battle Network 3, for the Game Boy Advance, described as a staple of the GBA, praised for its customization elements. The reviewer highlights the unique world, battles, and overall high quality of the game. Next, Weiwei Golf for the GameCube, where players use the cross-stick for shots. The reviewer appreciates the tension caused by the input sensitivity and the enjoyable multiplayer mode. Finally, Pocket Monsters Ruby Sapphire, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, for the GBA, anticipated for its vast number of Pokemon and individual differences. The reviewer notes the new 2v2 battles and unique abilities, traits, adding strategic depth. The page also mentions a Wind Waker playable event at the Games Japan Festa in Osaka. Also, a news article highlights a new GC software title called Ohen Rosen, developed by the company Pinchang, designed for connecting an abacus-style pedometer to allow elderly people to explore the 88 temples of Shikoku Island. Additionally, there's a News Dream segment featuring Link from The Legend of Zelda, where the author talks about new Zelda releases: The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time for the GameCube. This page is a promotional spread for The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker for the Nintendo GameCube. It features a countdown to its release on December 13th, stating there are 22 days left. The page showcases various aspects of the game, including action scenes, items, and characters. Link, Errol, Link's sister, and a shot of Tingle on a Game Boy Advance are featured. Game details include the price, 6,800 yen, and the ability for 2-player cooperative play using a GC/GBA cable. The page also mentions the Tingle Tuner, an item used to summon Tingle for cooperative play. There are also highlighted pages that detail a story introduction, new information on items and enemies, and a GBA check with page numbers listed to read more. A warning is given about potential spoilers, advising players who want a fresh experience to be careful. This page is a promotional spread for The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. The page opens with the phrase, "Wind, pirates, great sea. The world's greatest adventure begins." It discusses the transition from the realistic character design of Ocarina of Time to the more anime-inspired style of The Wind Waker. It mentions the positive reception of the animation style revealed at E3. The article also highlights the unique, almost cutout-like artistic style, comparing the textures to Japanese paper. It praises the blend of both Japanese and European influences in the game's world. The Zelda development team's philosophy of seeking new places never seen before is emphasized, not only in the character designs, but also in the level design, graphics, object design, system, program, scenario, and music. Characters featured include Grandma, Nico, Mako, Tetra, and Zuko. Additionally, it lists key items such as the telescope, Wind Waker, bait bag, belongings bag, grappling hook, Deku Leaf, dungeon map, compass, bombs, and bottles. The text ends by encouraging players to become pioneers and discover new places, promising adventure and excitement. The next page presents a collection of 60 screenshots from The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, showcasing Link's expressions, backgrounds, item icons, and map displays. The page warns of spoilers, and then highlights various actions in the game, noting that the sword actions are similar to the Nintendo 64 version. It mentions features like Link sticking to walls, using stealth maneuvers, and wearing barrels to avoid detection. It explains how players can make Link face the wall, and use the A button to stick to it. It mentions that Link can move slowly along ledges and walls. The article explains that the sneaking action used to only be possible in holes and on walls in the N64 game, but now is possible everywhere. This page continues the Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker feature, highlighting various gameplay elements. There is a section called That Chest Hair is Stecky, pointing out Link traveling with pirates and the possibility of sailing the ship. The reviewer wonders about the story context and expresses a desire to try sailing. A section titled, Hello Fairy-chan, expresses admiration for the cute fairy and hope for the return of other unique fairies from the series, like the big fairies and mischievous fairies. They also ask if it will be possible to catch it in a bottle. The page also touches on using bombs, noting how to find cracked walls and how the action icon changes to place or throw when holding a bomb. They wonder about the safety of detonating bombs at close range. The last section focuses on various enemy characters, including soldier types, beast types, plant types, and mid-boss class large types. The reviewer notes that the arrow cursor changes from yellow to red when targeting enemies and comments on the fun of fighting them. This page continues the Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker coverage. It delves into the Karen sequence, activated by pressing a button in front of a treasure chest, triggering a movie. The page highlights that there are items yet to be revealed beyond what was shown on page 15, hinting at the inclusion of bows, hammers, magic, and pachinko. The page then introduces the boomerang, detailing its ability to target multiple enemies in succession. While some enemies are in the sky, or they can be dangerous, the new boomerang allows for multiple lock-ons. The player is advised to adjust the camera to target multiple enemies, and also that it is acquired in a minigame. Finally, the page highlights the new Deku Leaf item. Link can find many uses, from Deku Nuts, Deku Sticks, Deku Shields, and even Deku Trees, culminating in the Deku Leaf itself. Link can use it to float from cliffs, jumping with the Deku Leaf from high places. It is a fun item to use. This page continues coverage of The Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker. It showcases the Wind Waker item, activated in front of treasure chests to trigger movies, and hints at unrevealed items like bows and hammers. The page also details the use of the sail, allowing Link to sail across the Great Sea. It highlights using the Wind Waker to change direction, and items such as the sea chart, telescope, and Wind Waker can assist. Also featured is the grappling hook, which can be used to grab points to move quickly. The next page features a story digest of The Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker, with approximately 60 screenshots from the early parts of the game. The page jokingly warns readers about spoilers. The section titled A Birthday Present from Grandma shows screenshots of Link receiving the hero's clothes from his grandmother on his 12th birthday. It mentions that Link lives with his grandmother and sister, Errol, on Outset Island, Prolo Island. The article playfully notes that the green clothes might look oppressive. Screenshots and descriptions are shown of Link with the King of Red Lions and the Wise Men, the Fisherman and the Scholar. This page continues with the Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker story digest. It features more screenshots from the early part of the game and jokingly warns about spoilers. The first set of images focuses on Link receiving the telescope from Errol and using it to look around Outset Island. We see the postman in a panic, a giant bird kidnapping Errol, and a pirate ship firing rocks at the bird. The article mentions that the bird drops Errol on top of Prolo Island. The page also shows Link. At the time he doesn't have his sword, the first item to be obtained is the telescope, which he looks through with Errol after rescuing her from the monster, and she calls him, "Brother, congratulations!" This detail emphasizes how the game differs from previous Zelda adventures. This page covers more of The Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker. It details Link's quest to rescue Tetra, advising players to obtain the sword and shield first, noting that in the E3 version, These items were available from the start. The reviewer speculates they will need to clear an event to get the sword and shield. The screenshots feature Link cutting grass on his way up the mountain, finding Tetra stuck in a tree branch, and then being attacked by a bokoblin. There's also a scene of Tetra unconscious, hanging from the tree, plus a scene of her being rescued earlier. The article mentions that the E3 demo ended with defeating the bokoblin and reuniting with Tetra. It also highlights how quickly time passes while exploring Prolo Island. There's an image of Link obtaining the hero's sword, and another of Grandma worried about Link leaving with the sword. The page also introduces the concept of combat in the game, saying that battles are frequent and intense, even more so than in Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. The bottom of the page reveals that Arianel has been kidnapped again by a large bird, while she says, "Big brother." The pirate boss assures him that she is fine. The next page focuses on The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, opening with the farewell to Grandma as Link embarks on his quest to rescue Errol. The article highlights Link's determination and the hint of sadness in his expression. It notes that it's also Link's birthday. We see Link on the pirate ship, with the King of Red Lions wondering if he wants to ride. There's mention of the recent disappearances of girls and a mysterious mailman. The article describes Link leaving Prolo Island to sail the Great Sea, and speculates on his role aboard the pirate ship, joking that he might end up as a deckhand, as well as the pirates themselves. We see screenshots from the game, including Link climbing the ship's mast and exploring its interior, finding items. A character called the Postman is shown. He is a series first. The page highlights a scene where the pirates see Link off. The article points out there is no grandma in the photo. The pirates are also looked at. The article touches on the message below the screenshot. This page, titled Infiltrating the Mysterious Demon Island, follows Link's adventure on the Forsaken Fortress in The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. It talks about how Errol seems to be held captive there, and that the gameplay will feel like infiltrating a dungeon similar to the fortresses in Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. The page highlights gameplay elements like sticking to walls, hiding in barrels, and fighting enemies to control searchlights. We see screenshots of Link navigating the fortress, fighting enemies, and operating the searchlights. The reviewer comments on Link's facial expressions during the cannon launch from the pirate ship, describing them as comedic, despite the serious situation. The page then shows Link sneaking through the fortress, encountering searchlights, and eventually finding Errol. There's a brief description of Link's celebration upon finding a barrel, and a note that things won't be as simple as a rescue and return to Outset Island. More screenshots show Link fighting searchlight operating enemies and using a telescope. The magazine's next issue is said to be 7 days away, next to an image of Terry. The text also asks readers to guess the person's job by looking at the beetle design on their pants. The next page features The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past and Four Swords for the Game Boy Advance. The page details the plot of Four Swords, explaining that the four links are created by the power of the Four Sword. The story involves the wind sorcerer Valati breaking the seal of the Four Sword and kidnapping Princess Zelda to make her his bride. Link, empowered by the Four Sword, splits into four to rescue her. It touches upon the differences between A Link to the Past on the SNES and the GBA remake, mentioning the addition of a new dungeon. The reviewer expresses hope for interesting changes in the remake and highlights the beauty of the opening scene, while also mentioning the expansion of guest characters. Screenshots show gameplay from both A Link to the Past and Four Swords. A Link to the Past screenshots hint at a new dungeon featuring the return of Agahnim. Four Swords screenshots showcase gameplay with four links. The page includes a flowchart asking players to decide which color Link to play, as in multiplayer. It's a humorous decision tree based on players' preferences and gaming habits, using the color choices to indicate different playstyles. The reviewer adds some humorous comments to the different path options. This page is a full-page advertisement for Biohazard Zero, known as Resident Evil Zero in the West, for the Nintendo GameCube. It features characters, screenshots, and game information. The ad promotes the game as a survival horror experience. The next page focuses on Resident Evil Zero, known as Biohazard Zero in Japan, for the Nintendo GameCube. It highlights the opening story, set in Raccoon City in 1998, where the origins of the biohazard incident are revealed. The page features screenshots of characters and scenes, including a train sequence, Raccoon Forest 2017, July 23, 1998, a helicopter crash above Raccoon Forest, and members of STARS Bravo team like Rebecca Chambers investigating the incident, and a prisoner Billy Cohen. It mentions that the team's helicopter crashes due to an unknown malfunction, and that they encounter a flipped military police truck transporting Billy Cohen. The text hints at a dangerous situation with the line, "The door to safety is shut, there is no turning back." Resident Evil Zero for GameCube introduces new systems and controls. The control scheme mirrors previous games but includes unique additions, like the removal of the item box, replaced by dropping and retrieving items. Controls include stick/D-pad movement, R for weapon ready, A for attacks, L for aiming, and more for partner character controls. Weapons like the handgun are available initially, but stronger weapons exist, emphasizing ammo management and situational weapon choice. Items can be dropped but need retrieving, and the inventory system allows using items on pickup. Safe room storage is recommended, and item location is displayed on the map. The next page of the magazine is focused on the new partner zapping system in Resident Evil Zero and highlights the special characteristics of Rebecca and Billy. The page explains that players switch between Rebecca and Billy. Player can control two characters, with AI controlling the other. The partner can be set to wait or fight alongside you. The characters can be called over or ordered to stay in place. The player can change character using the X buttons. It also explains that the AI partner won't fire as often, so players should assist them if they're in danger. There is an explanation of how to swap items. The status screen allows you to command an action for your partner. You can directly give items to the other player or drop them on the floor. Rebecca can mix herbs for healing, while Billy can use the lighter. Also, Billy is physically stronger than Rebecca, and Rebecca has a smaller hitbox than Billy. When attacking as a partner, Rebecca will attack the same target as Billy, while Billy will attack closer targets. The next page features a map of the train from Resident Evil Zero. It includes item locations such as handgun bullets, herbs, and the panel openers needed after the giant scorpion battle. Locations of importance on the 1F are the conductor's room, outside path, second train path, the train workshop, second class berth A and B, second class cabin A and B, kitchen train path, and the kitchen train. The 2F features the cargo room, rear deck, salon train, third train path, first class berth A and B, mini kitchen and diner. This page presents a map of the train from Resident Evil Zero, highlighting key areas and item locations. It identifies the starting point and offers guidance for the management personnel. Noteworthy items include the emergency spray, shotgun shells, polytank, and gold ring. The map also indicates the locations of empty bottles in the refrigerator, a hookshot, and various exits and elevators, including a cargo elevator and a power supply. Locations featured include roofs, a jewel box containing a knife, and green herbs. The next page is a strategy guide for the train section of Resident Evil Zero. It explains that the starting point is in car 72B, and because the dining car is locked, the player must proceed to the front of the train. The guide then describes the first encounter with zombies in car 72A, where the player will meet Billy. A cutscene occurs, but Billy doesn't become a partner yet. Instead, a cutscene with teammate Richard plays, followed by a battle with Cerberus. The guide provides advice on fighting zombies, recommending keeping a distance and using the handgun. For Cerberus, it suggests shooting them with a single bullet as they attack. Also included on the page are images of Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen with their weapons drawn. This page continues the strategy guide for Resident Evil Zero, focusing on Billy's cooperation and partnership with Rebecca in the train section. The guide details the events after acquiring the dining car key and entering the 9th dining car, where a cutscene shows the characters meeting again. After the cutscene, the guide directs the player to the second floor of the 18th dining car, where an encounter with a transformed old man occurs. With the player forced to descend the stairs, another cutscene begins where Billy provides assistance. The walkthrough highlights the need for cooperative partner zapping to solve puzzles. A character who doesn't fall from the roof will later fight the giant scorpion boss. The guide also mentions the use of the 10th kitchen's freight elevator and the 17th mini kitchen for item transfers. The guide continues by instructing the player to obtain the conductor room key in the mini kitchen and give it to the partner in the kitchen. After obtaining the key, the player should head to the conductor's room, press the switch next to the door, and proceed to the salon car's staircase. The ice pick can be found in a wagon on the 143rd passage, and after acquiring it, the player should return to the salon car to fight the giant scorpion. Preparing in passenger car 151A is recommended before proceeding. This page continues the Resident Evil Zero strategy guide, focusing on the giant scorpion boss fight and subsequent puzzle solving. The guide describes the giant scorpion as being covered in hard armor and attacking with its claws and tail. Regular attacks are ineffective, so the player must lure it into a lower stance to target its head with a shotgun at close range. After defeating the scorpion, the player can access the third and fourth passenger cars to continue. The guide then details how to use the freight elevator in the kitchen to send the ice pick to the mini kitchen. This allows the player to open the door to the mini kitchen, reunite with their partner, and go through a hidden passage in the freight room. This involves using the panel opener to unlock the panel in the freight room and diving down. In the freight room, the player will encounter two Cerberus dogs and must fight them. Located after the 12th deck is the hookshot, which requires teamwork to obtain. One character lowers the lever and the other grabs the hookshot. After entering the freight room, be cautious as zombies will jump out of the freezer. This page of the Resident Evil Zero guide focuses on progressing through the train after defeating the giant scorpion. It details how to use the hookshot to reach the roof of the train and enter another passenger car through a hole. Inside, a zombie awaits. The guide also explains how to find the jewel box in a closet, retrieve the silver ring, and combine it with the gold ring from earlier to unlock the conductor's bag. Obtaining the blue card key. Using the blue card key at the front of the train unlocks the door and triggers a cutscene. The guide notes that the train appears to be under someone's control, and scientists are discussing the true virus. It also mentions that Delta Team, who were supposed to be controlling the train, are now being consumed by swarms of leeches. The page ends with a close-up of Albert Wesker. This page continues the Resident Evil Zero guide, focusing on how to stop the speeding train after the initial giant scorpion encounter. It explains that reaching the driver's cabin allows you to try and activate the emergency brake. But first, you need to trigger the emergency brake device at the back of the train. You have to decide which character goes to the rear of the train. Many zombies await you on the way, and there's a time limit. Once at the rear of the train, insert the magnetic card obtained earlier into the panel in the driver's cabin to enable number input. You need to operate the buttons 10 times to match the numbers shown on the right. If you fail, it's game over. The page features images of the characters in the train, zombies, and panels with numbers. Rebecca is heading to the back deck, and the guide mentions that, on the way, there will be another encounter similar to one with Richard, likely referencing Resident Evil 1. It also notes that the panel in the driver's cabin is broken, so you need to add up the numbers you press during the 10 operations. In this case, 7 times 9 equals 63, and 81 equals 9 by 9 for the driver's cabin panel, meaning you need to input the number 9 8 times before trying to use the emergency brakes. It questions if the train will stop safely in the end. The next page delves deeper into the mysteries surrounding the Biohazard, Resident Evil series. Promising revelations. It features scenes reminiscent of Resident Evil 2, hinting at familiar locations like the Umbrella Labs. The page focuses on the enigmatic Drive, James Marcus, director of the Umbrella Executive Training Center, and a key figure in Umbrella's establishment, alongside Spencer. It questions his involvement, as well as exploring connections to William Birkin, creator of the virus, and Albert Wesker of STARS. The page includes images of Rebecca Chambers exploring damp areas, possible Umbrella experiments, a reservoir, and a mysterious youth seen in video sequences. Lists detail characters like Matthew K., Midge D., and others, noting their fate and association with research facilities. The content discusses the strange details and mysteries behind the research that has not been made public. This page is an advertisement for the upcoming Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire games. It features the two main trainers, May and Brendan, alongside in-game screenshots. The ad also details the game's genre, player count, and price. The page mentions newly discovered facts from playing the room, introducing the story up to the Kanazumi City, and summarizing the Pokemon that appear, including how to learn moves and how to use hidden machines. A section titled New Pokemon and Move Check covers Pokemon appearing from the beginning of the adventure. It introduces level-up moves and moves learned from HMS, with a list showcasing moves that can be learned. It shows the moves that can be taught to Trico. This page delves into exciting features within Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, focusing on a system where the player character can give TV interviews. These interviews, which occur at various locations, involve answering questions about the player's Pokemon and battles. The game allows you to create customized comments by combining words from different groups. The chosen comment is then broadcasted on TV for others to see. You can choose from various interview categories. The goal is to create original comments that stand out, either with a cool or funny approach. The page also illustrates what happens when the player watches TV in the game. It shows a scenario where Lotad's comment is aired. The page showcases lists of moves that can be learned by Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip. The next page introduces a feature in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire where you can create your own slang and trends in the Hoenn region. By answering questions in interviews, you can combine words to create phrases and influence the local language. The page also shows how to access the record corner in the Pokemon Center to exchange information with friends. This allows you to view your friends' secret bases in your own game and see details about their trainers. You can also check TV to see how many Pokemon you and your friends have caught, as well as the number of steps you've taken. The page also features details about moves that can be learned by Poochyena, Zigzagoon, and Wurmple. This page covers some gameplay aspects of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, starting with how the protagonist receives running shoes from their mother at the beginning of the adventure, allowing faster movement. It mentions that while bicycles will still be available, these shoes are a significant upgrade early on. The page then details how to grow berries by planting them in soft soil and watering them with the Wailmer pail, which is obtained from a flower shop. Different berries can be grown, with the Wailmer pail increasing the yield. It shows that the Wailmer pail can be obtained by speaking to a woman in the flower shop. This section covers the trainer card, which displays the player's name, money, Pokemon caught, playtime, and gym badges. The back of the card shows communication records with friends. Finally, the page discusses the Pokemon daycare, suggesting that breeding Pokemon by leaving both male and female Pokemon at the daycare can result in eggs being discovered. The page also includes information on the moves learned by Cascoon, Silcoon, and Lotad. The next page delves into Pokemon contests in Ruby and Sapphire, highlighting that these contests offer a different kind of heat compared to battles. It emphasizes showcasing your Pokemon and trying to capture the judge's attention. The page explains how to raise your Pokemon's condition for the contests by using Pokeblocks, which are made by blending berries using the Berry Blender. These berries can be found on roots and grown by planting them in soft soil and watering them. The first stage of a contest is evaluated based on the Pokemon's appearance, which is influenced by the condition raised through Pokeblocks. Earning many hearts from the audience leads to higher scores. It is important to use Pokeblocks that suit the contest type and train your Pokemon daily. The popular vote also affects the judging, with hearts above the audience members' heads indicating their evaluation. Earning enough hearts here can compensate for a potential loss in the second round. The page also mentions that the color, taste, and level of Pokeblocks vary, and Pokemon have different preferences. It shows screenshots of the contest hall and the berry blending interface. There are also details on moves learned by Pokemon like Seedot, Swellow, and Wingull. The next page explains the second round of Pokemon contests in Ruby and Sapphire. During the appeal time, trainers use moves to impress the judges. The Pokemon with the most effective appeals wins. This round carries more weight than the first. It's important to check which moves are best suited for appeals. Some moves increase the audience's excitement and the Pokemon's own evaluation, while others lower the evaluation of other Pokemon. For example, using Absorb in a cuteness contest won't go over well, as it doesn't excite the crowd. Selecting moves appropriate for the contest is crucial. Charm is a great move to use at the end. The page highlights that making other Pokemon flinch can lower their score. It mentions that moves like Absorb can cause this effect. Using moves that raise the audience's excitement, like Sweet Kiss, is beneficial. Winning a contest earns you a commemorative ribbon. To win, Pokemon must use their moves effectively. The page also depicts a trainer gifting a ribbon to a Lillipup that won a contest. It encourages players to win many ribbons, as there are different ranks in contests, and after winning a normal rank contest, players should challenge other categories at higher levels. There are lists of moves that can be learned by Ralts, Shroomish, and Slakoth. The next page is a walkthrough digest focusing on Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, highlighting key events up to reaching Petalburg City. First, it covers rescuing Professor Birch, followed by receiving your first Pokemon from him and obtaining the Pokedex and Pokeballs from the Professor and his child. It mentions that the Professor's child uses Pokemon that are strong against your starter Pokemon and the initial trainer battle. It specifically notes Route 103 as a location where you encounter the Professor's child. The walkthrough continues with meeting Norman, the player's father, in Petalburg City. The page describes how the player helps Wally catch his first Pokemon. There's a section detailing the starter Pokemon types, noting that the Professor's child will use Pokemon that exploit the player's chosen starter's weaknesses. The page also has a table of level-up moves for Pokemon like Ralts, Agwant, and Dustox. This page continues the walkthrough of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, focusing on events after Petalburg City. It describes encountering the mysterious organization in the forest near the start of the game, and the battle with gym leader Roxanne in Rustboro City. The walkthrough explains how to retrieve stolen goods in the Rusturf Tunnel and obtain the Pokénav after delivering the goods to the Devon Corporation president. It also offers tips for battling Roxanne, suggesting the use of Mudkip. The page also features images of the Pokemon Nosepass, which Roxanne uses. The page concludes with details on the Pokemon Zigzagoon and Skitty, including their movesets. This page features the game's Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion. It describes Samus Aran, a bounty hunter who wears a power suit, and details that Samus's adventures are now on the GameCube and Game Boy Advance with new enhanced graphics, gameplay, and story. It mentions that if you link the GameCube and Game Boy Advance versions of Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion together using a GBA cable, you can unlock special features. If you've completed Metroid Prime, you can play Metroid Prime with the Fusion suit from Metroid Fusion. If you've completed Metroid Fusion, you can play the NES version of Metroid on your GameCube. The next page is all about Metroid Prime on the Nintendo GameCube. It highlights the first-person perspective, intense exploration, and shooting action-adventure gameplay. The page emphasizes the feeling of isolation as you explore an alien planet and space stations through Samus's eyes. It also talks about the new visor system, which allows you to scan objects and enemies to gather information. The scan visor allows you to uncover the weaknesses of enemies and discover new elements, adding depth to the exploration and combat. Several screenshots show gameplay, including Samus exploring a derelict spaceship, battling enemies, and scanning creatures. It mentions that lock-on targeting is available with the press of a button. There's also a note that while most of the game is first-person, Samus's appearance is shown in cutscenes and when using the Morph Ball to traverse tight spaces. This page focuses on Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance, revealing the truth behind Samus's transformation. It highlights the game as a side-view 2D exploration action title, familiar to longtime fans, but with a power suit significantly different from previous installments, related to the game's fusion theme. The page emphasizes the game's strong storytelling, retaining the series' 2D action style within a maze-like environment, where players explore, fight, and solve puzzles. It shows Samus exploring damaged areas of a biologic space station, her mission's setting, after a mysterious accident, and tasks her with investigating explosion. A map display shows accessible and inaccessible areas, with a target marker. The article questions what lurks in the depths of the research facility, hinting at a battle with a giant creature. The text indicates that the Metroids were apparently the natural enemy of the X-Parasite, and the reason why the vaccine was effective in treating Samus's infection. This page delves into the narrative of Metroid Fusion, chronicling Samus's near-death experience and subsequent transformation. The page narrates how Samus is infected by the X-Parasite during a mission on planet SR-388, leading to a life-threatening situation. The only known treatment is a vaccine derived from Metroid cells, saving her life but altering her appearance and abilities. The story progresses to a biologic space station, where a mysterious explosion occurs. Samus is dispatched to investigate. The page shows scenes of Samus escaping the crash of her ship after X got to her, as well as being put in a hospital suit while the doctors deal with her. There's also an image of what the X-Parasite looks like, as well as the last Metroid cell being kept in a container. Screenshots show Samus battling enemies. The conclusion is a shot of Samus in a new ship arriving at the space station for the next part of her mission. The next page of the magazine focuses on the Divine Beast summoning in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. It describes how summoning divine beasts, a series staple, can turn the tide of battle. The page highlights that these divine beasts are powerful protectors unique to each of the 5 races in the game and serve as cornerstones that hold the world together, safeguarded by crystals. It specifically introduces the Numao race's divine beast, the fallen angel Ultima, explaining that its appearance is both divine and destructive, hinting at its immense power. The article also touches upon the strategic depth of the game. The page features screenshots of the fallen angel Ultima performing attacks, enveloping the entire battlefield in an overwhelming wave of destructive power. The game's release date is mentioned as February 14, 2003, and the article indicates that Judgment System is the new exciting part of this game. This page continues the discussion about Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, focusing on the significance of divine beasts. The page expands on the role of divine beasts, protectors of the crystals, and key to maintaining the world's balance. It highlights that by finding and freeing the divine beasts, players can then use them in battle. The page zooms in on the Numao race and their guardian, the fallen angel Ultima. It further describes the character of Queen Remedy as being a queen who rules the fantasy world of Ivalice, but she is also the deceased mother of the main character's friend, Mute. The page also mentions Judge Master Sid, Mute's father, who is said to have been addicted to alcohol after the death of Remedy in the real world. There is also a small bit about the judge system. The page contains screenshots of key scenes and characters. The next page dives deeper into Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, focusing on the law system and how it can be manipulated. The page introduces anti-law cards, which allow players to bend or break the established laws of battle. These cards come in two types: attach and counter. Attach cards let you add new laws to a battle if there are open slots, while counter cards nullify existing laws. The page also discusses trading cards with others, mentioning that the Numao alchemist, Ezel Berbier, offers anti-law cards in his shop. The page also warns players that judges might penalize players for breaking the law. Screenshots illustrate how to use anti-law cards to add or remove laws. Character art features Ezel Berbier, the card keeper. The page also covers the judgment system, where laws change daily. This page continues the coverage of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, focusing on unit dispatching and job classes. The page details the process of sending units on quests, explaining that there are two types of quests: those requiring battles and non-battle quests. It emphasizes choosing the right unit for the quest at hand, and notes that the unit's job can influence the outcome. The page introduces 5 new job classes: Juggler, Black Mage, Hunter, Assassin, and Fighter, with illustrations for each. It briefly describes the unique abilities of each class, highlighting the Juggler's combined damage and status effect attacks, the Hunter's ranged support with heavy crossbows, and the Assassin's ability to inflict status ailments. It also states that the Black Mage is best suited for the Numu tribe, and the Fighter class has great strength for the Banga race. Screenshots show examples of quest selection, unit deployment, and the rewards for completing quests. It also shows how penalties are given out. The next page focuses on Mr. Driller Drill Land for the Nintendo GameCube, advertising this action puzzle game where players drill through underground theme park attractions. The page highlights 5 key attractions. Druaga's Hole, a driller game with RPG elements, based on The Tower of Druaga. Horror Night House, a horror-themed drilling challenge where players defeat ghosts to escape. DR India Adventure, treasure hunting in ancient ruins, avoiding traps. Dreamin' Parade, a grand parade featured in the Game Boy Advance version. Mr. Driller A, World Drill Tour, a standard driller mode perfect for beginners. Star Driller, an advanced mode challenging players to drill through space, dealing with the unpredictable block. The page features screenshots of the Druaga's Hole attraction, showing gameplay with a health and level meter, a map of the area, and a battle against Druaga himself. The text promotes using items and strategy to beat Druaga. The page also includes the game's release date, price, and memory card requirements. The next page continues its focus on Mr. Driller Drill Land, showing off more of its attractions. First up is World Drill Tour, described as a pure, orthodox driller experience, perfect for those who just want to dig. You can choose any character you like, making it suitable for everyone from beginners to advanced players. Next is Horror Night House, where you collect dristles to escape a haunted mansion. Use holy water to stop ghosts, and be careful not to break blocks with ghosts in them, or you'll be attacked by bats. DR India Adventure challenges you to collect treasure in an airless environment, focusing on your life bar. Tricky traps increase the difficulty. Star Driller is designed for advanced players. It's a difficult mode filled with unpredictable blocks, requiring both skill and luck to clear. There's also a section on linking with the GBA game Mr. Driller A, to bring your own bacteria into the Dreamin' Parade. Finally, the page highlights a battle and race mode for up to 4 players. Find hidden metals quickly in battle, or compete to drill 500 meters the fastest in race mode. You can even use any character from the game. This page is about Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life for the Nintendo GameCube. It introduces 20 villagers and focuses on the protagonist's life, including marriage and raising a family with one of 3 potential wives. each with unique personalities. The game unfolds over 6 chapters, chronicling approximately 30 years of the player's farming life. It highlights that marrying one of the girls will result in having a child and raising a family. The page focuses on 3 potential marriage candidates, Nami, Cecilia, and Muffy, describing their personalities and showing screenshots of in-game events, such as the protagonist talking with Cecilia and Muffy. It also features the strange creature or villager that will be in the game, highlighting the new character designs in the series. The next page continues coverage of Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life, focusing on some of the residents of Forget-Me-Not Valley. The page introduces various villagers, like Gustafa, a guitar-playing bard, who can give the player farming advice. It also features Takakura, Lumina, the sprites, Cody the artist, Daryl the scientist, Flora who lives in a tent, and Dr. Patrick. It also mentions that you can interact with Ramona in a rocking chair, interact with the farmer Vesta, and consult with Gailey in front of the graveyard. Finally, the page announces that Vayan the merchant from the GBA game, Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town, will appear in Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life, through the link system. Vachian will be selling items in Mineral Town. The next page is a full-page advertisement for the GameCube game Spider-Man. It showcases the game's web-slinging action and various web-based attacks. It is action game for 1 player and requires a memory card with at least 2 blocks. It is being released in the winter and will cost 6,800 yen. The advertisement highlights different web techniques such as web laser, capture web, web glove, web swing, web line attack, and tool yank. The screenshots show Spider-Man using these moves against enemies in various environments. The text describes how Spider-Man can use his webs to attack, immobilize, and traverse the environment, offering a variety of combat and traversal options. The next page showcases the upcoming Spider-Man game, based on the movie, and highlights original story elements. It focuses on the battles between Spider-Man and his nemesis, the Green Goblin, in various locations, including high-rise rooftops and subway tunnels. The game features Peter Parker, a high school student who gains superpowers after being bitten by a genetically modified spider and becomes Spider-Man. He fights against evil as Spider-Man. The Green Goblin appears on his glider, leading to aerial combat. Harry Osborn, Peter's classmate, is also featured. He is secretly the Green Goblin who wants to conquer the world. Harry takes a drug that his father made and becomes the Green Goblin with a split personality. The page also notes the varied stages, including rooftops, interiors, and subway tunnels, encouraging players to use all available terrain. Spider-Man rescues people, including women on rooftops, showcasing his heroic nature. He dives from buildings, utilizing a web laser to target incoming goblins. Inside the tunnels, Spider-Man faces the challenge of escaping impending shockwaves, highlighting the fast-paced action within. This page details the battle system of Eternal Arcadia Legend for the Nintendo GameCube. It features 2 main types of combat, skirmishes in dungeons and ship-to-ship battles in the sky. The skirmishes involve random encounters in dungeons, using a ring command system for selecting attacks and abilities, such as Catless Dance and Arrow Smash. The ship-to-ship combat involves navigating the skies and utilizing different cannons and torpedoes to defeat enemies. It mentions that ships have unique weapons. A special attack for Vice's ship is highlighted, called Moonlight Cannon. The page gives information about the game, including its release date of December 26th, the price of 6,800 yen, the RPG genre, and the need for 3 memory blocks on the GameCube. There are images of the game's characters and screenshots of the ship combat and special moves. The next page introduces new characters in Eternal Arcadia Legend, focusing on wanted battles. It features the Montesnays, triple witch sisters, Tara, Leela, and Pura, who kidnap young, handsome men to be their husbands according to tribal law, making them feared as witches. They reside in the Montesma airspace and use a combined attack called Chuck Mole. The page also highlights the character Dai Kokuya, a rich air pirate who uses money to solve problems and pilots a Karakuri robot. His special move is Golden Riot Dance, scattering coins to confuse enemies. The last character introduced is Simon, a mysterious leader of a tomb raiding clan. He hides weapons under his cloak and uses a powerful attack called Legendary Blast. The page includes screenshots of battles and character artwork, emphasizing the importance of the order in which the Triple Witch Sisters are defeated and the threat posed by Simon's subordinates. The next page is an advertisement for the game Sonic Mega Collection for the Nintendo GameCube. It highlights the collection's features, including bonus footage and a quarter-view perspective. The page promotes Sonic 3D Blast, a title that was unreleased in Japan. The game features a 3D perspective where Sonic must rescue Flickies on Fricky Island from Dr. Eggman's robots. It also mentions Knuckles as a playable character and an extra mode where you can watch old Sonic animations. The screenshots showcase various levels and gameplay mechanics, such as saving Flickies and using traps. The extra mode features artwork and animation from the series, including a Christmas card illustration and CG artwork. This page details the battle mode in Sonic Advance 2 for the Game Boy Advance. The game features two types of battle modes for 14 players, multi-cartridge battle and single cartridge battle. In multi-cartridge battle, players race through familiar courses using items to hinder their opponents. The screen displays the distance to other players and to the goal. A screenshot shows the course is in a 2D perspective. In single cartridge battle, players compete to collect the most rings within a 3-minute time limit. Rings can be taken from opponents, and players are encouraged to snatch rings when opponents are damaged. The interface shows who currently has the most rings. The results screen allows players to retry battles. It features Sonic, Tails, Cream, and Knuckles. The next page focuses on Sega Rally Championship for the Game Boy Advance. It highlights that the game allows you to choose from 4 uniquely performing rally cars to aim for the championship. You can purchase additional cars in the shop by earning points. The shop interface is showcased, displaying a sold-out Lancia Stratos. 4 cars are introduced. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution V2 4WD, described as suited for intermediate players and capable on both rough terrain and paved roads. The Subaru Impreza 4WD, ideal for rallying and designed to win but can be difficult to handle due to its power. The Toyota Corolla 4WD, a relatively easy-to-handle car, and the Ford Focus RSFF, the only foreign car and a front-wheel drive vehicle that is easy for beginners to handle. Each car has a brief description of its performance characteristics and handling. Screenshots of in-game racing action are included, along with a car selection screen. This page is a sticker sheet from Nintendo Dream Volume 80, featuring various Nintendo games. There are stickers for The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, including stickers of Link, Tetra, and the King of Red Lions. There are stickers of Kirby from Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, along with 1-up icons. Other stickers include characters from the Sega Taken series, Ai the Monkey, or Super Monkey Ball. GameCube title stickers, Mario Party 4, Kinnikuman 2 Say, Dream Tag Match, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, IY Golf, NBA, Live 2003, and FIFA 2003. The next page is an advertisement for various Game Boy Advance games, including titles like King of Fighters X2, Double Dragon Advance, Power Pro, and other titles. This page is a preview of new games coming out. It highlights the upcoming year-end game rush, mentioning titles like Biohazard Zero, Resident Evil Zero, Monkey 2, likely a Monkey Ball game, and Pokémon as key releases. The page promises to keep readers up to date on these titles. The image features Mario characters, including Princess Daisy, Mario, Luigi, and Wario, playing what looks like a game of soccer. The next page advertises Kinnikuman 2 Say, New Generation vs. Legends, a wrestling fighting game for the GameCube. The game features characters from both the Kinnikuman 2 Say and the original Kinnikuman series, with tag team battles. It introduces the new generation characters like Kinnikuman Mantaro, Terry the Kid, and Gazelman, and legend characters such as Kinnikuman Suguru, Terryman, and Ramen Man. The article includes screenshots of the game, as well as comments from editors. This page focuses on Kinnikuman 2, New Generation vs. Legends, for an unspecified console. It highlights the easy-to-execute special moves and tag team combinations. The game features special moves that are easy to perform, requiring simple button inputs. There is a mechanic to collect meatballs, to power up characters and unleash special moves. The page mentions tag team moves, like the muscle docking featuring Kinnikuman and Terryman, as well as other special moves like Ramen Man's Leg Lariat and Kinnikuman Suguru's Furinkazan. There are screenshots demonstrating the gameplay, special moves, and tag team attacks. The editors seem excited about the animation and the faithful recreation of special moves from the original series, and mention a stage featuring a prophecy match, where the ring changes as events come true. They also discuss their favorite matches from the manga, including Robin Mask vs. Mammoth Man. The next page covers various game modes in Kinnikuman 2, New Generation vs. Legends, going beyond the standard versus mode. One such mode is the tournament mode. There's also a story mode, where new generation superheroes challenge legendary ones. The story changes depending on the chosen character. Then there is Kinkeshi mode, where you collect Kinkeshi, Kinnikuman erasers, using kin medals earned in the game. There are over 400 Kinkeshi to collect. A superhuman recruitment mode allows players to create their own superheroes by combining parts and customizing their appearance, abilities, and special moves, and use it in the versus and tournament modes. The page also showcases Muscle Igalin, a custom superhero created in this mode, highlighting the process of choosing parts, personality, and special moves. The writers express excitement for the game and ask for more characters like Sunshine, Ashuraman, and Kinnikuman Great in future installments. They also mention their favorite manga fights, such as Robin Mask vs. Mammoth Man. The column on the bottom discusses the game and a desire to create more cool wrestlers. This page features an interview with Tanaka Yoshinari, the producer of Kinnikuman 2, New Generation vs. Legends. He discusses the game's development, including the initial plan to make a game based on the original Kinnikuman series before switching to Kinnikuman 2. He mentions working with Akaki, developers of the Virtual Pro Wrestling series, praising their ability to capture the essence of Kinnikuman's wrestling style. Tanaka also shares anecdotes about working with Yude Tamago-sensei, the creator of Kinnikuman, who provided detailed instructions on character designs and moves. Yude Tamago even personally named the tag teams and original moves in the game, ensuring authenticity to the source material. Tanaka expresses his desire to include more legendary characters in future installments, and touches on the sales expectations of the game, aiming to capture the excitement of the manga fights. A section shows the possibility of certain characters appearing, and their chances, which are rated out of 100%. The chance of including Muscle Igalin is 10%, Springman is 50%, Kinnikuman Soldier is 120%, and 4D Murder Combo is 30%. Finally, Tanaka confirms the inclusion of Kinnikuman Great, Prince Kamehame, with a confident 120%. The next page is an advertisement for Momotaro Dentetsu 11 Black Bonbi appears, the latest installment in the Momotaro Dentetsu series for the GameCube. It's a board game where players travel around Japan by train, aiming to become the wealthiest president. The game features familiar elements such as rolling dice to move, buying properties, and encountering the mischievous Binbogami, poverty god, who now has a new form known as Black Bonbi, who inflicts even worse misfortune. The page highlights the core gameplay loop of moving, buying properties, and aiming to be the top president. It also showcases the transformations of the Binbogami, with images of Mini Bonbi and Black Bonbi. New features include Aquatic Japan and stock investment events, where players can invest in fish names or stocks, adding more strategic depth to the gameplay. The ad promises a challenging experience with Black Bonbi's antics and plenty of content. This page is all about how to stop the King Bonbi in Momotaro Dentetsu 11 Black Bonbi appears. The game has robots that can fight King Bonbi, and this article is introducing their special moves. The robots mentioned are Petite Cannon, whose special move is Olympus Meteor Shower, Yamato Samurai, with the move Ikoku Ichiju, and Mecha Bonbi, whose special move is Hip Bazooka. There's also a new mode called No Poverty God, designed for players tired of the poverty god antics, where you can focus on investing and managing funds without the interference of the Binbogami. Additionally, they are showing new elements of Momotaro Dentetsu 11, revealing 3 new cards that can turn the tables. It also introduces a Dragon Quest-themed event in Hawaii, where players use Butobai cards to compete in distance challenges. The page mentions an after-ending feature called Fierce Momotetsu History, which allows players to review their gameplay history if they've played for over 10 years. This page features Kuru Kuru Kururin Paradise for the GBA. It highlights the core gameplay of navigating a rotating stick, Helirin, through levels without hitting obstacles. The game offers single to 4-player modes using a GBA link cable. The storyline involves Kurin searching for his family after they miss a magic show. The game features 64 stages across 4 themed worlds.
Adventure Mode has 34 stages, and Challenge has 30.
The worlds include Kururin Village, where you learn the basics, a clockwork-themed land, the Magic Kingdom with challenging obstacles, and a flower-themed area. The Challenge Mode offers shorter courses focused on time attacks, with only one mistake allowed. The next page showcases the mini-games of Kururin Paradise for the GBA. It highlights 16 new mini-games where you control a rotating stick. These games include Quick Flip, where you match panels, Love Attack, delivering presents to Marilyn, Choo Choo Panic, chasing mice, Super Jumper, collecting coins, In the Sky, flying to the goal, Spin Shot, shooting rotating bars, Smash Force, an air hockey game, Falling Down, collecting coins vertically, Twin Hopper, traversing across platforms, Grass Cutter, mowing grass, and Slip Drop, sliding on ice. The page also mentions Magic Mode, unlocked by winning minigames against the Madan Magic Troupe, which teaches you magic tricks that can be performed on the GBA. The page shows an impression section with Kurin Shock, Terry Arid 100, Centerpoint, Impression, and Love Tester. This page introduces Bass Fishing Heaven. Tournament is Strategy for the GBA, set to release on December 5th. It's a simulation game where you, a novice fisherman, compete in a tournament across 3 lakes, aiming to win a kiss from the school idol, Mai-chan. The page introduces Lake Vassar, one of the fishing spots, complete with a shop. Screenshots show in-game maps indicating time, remaining turns, water temperature, wind direction, and fishing spots. The game emphasizes strategic turn management. You must return to the starting point before your turns run out. There are penalties for exceeding the time limit. Your rival, Satoru, is also introduced, a skilled angler posing a challenge. Another rival, Takashi, is also joining the fishing trip. The next page is a breakdown of techniques for bass fishing in Bass Fishing Heaven. Tournament is Strategy. It details 3 essential skills: casting, retrieving, and fighting.
The page explains each stage with gameplay screenshots.
Casting involves setting the direction and power, retrieving involves luring the bass, and fighting is a one-on-one battle to reel in the fish while managing line tension. It also explains how to use the shop, where you can buy tackle like lures, rods, reels, and lines using points earned in tournaments. A character appears in the shop who gives advice and is the shop owner. This page is an introduction to Chocobo Land, a board game for the Game Boy Advance. It highlights the game's story mode, which involves navigating a map and entering stages. The core gameplay revolves around rolling dice, moving around the board, and collecting crystal points, CP. The goal is to accumulate the required CP and reach the end of the level while competing with rivals. The page details 5 types of spaces. Ordinary spaces, where players can place companions, check crystal spaces that offer bonus CP upon passing them, start spaces, summoning spaces, and switch point spaces to change the direction of travel. The gameplay involves strategic use of these spaces to collect CP and impede opponents. The ad notes that the game features familiar Final Fantasy characters, and that this port is from the PlayStation version of the board game. The next page delves deeper into the gameplay mechanics of Chocobo Land, a board game, focusing on how to use friend stones to control territories. These stones allow you to claim spaces, gather CP from rivals, power up your own spaces, and even steal spaces from opponents, with each action requiring CP. The page illustrates 3 key strategies: placing friends on spaces to collect CP, powering up spaces to increase their value and resistance to being taken over, and capturing rival spaces by meeting CP requirements. It also introduces attack stones, which can disrupt rivals by putting them to sleep or manipulating dice rolls. Screenshots display various effects of these stones, such as lowering space levels. This page is all about Mega Man Battle Network 3 on the GBA. The game's story revolves around a net battler tournament called the 1-1 Grand Prix, with a hidden conspiracy lurking beneath the surface. Series protagonist Lan Hikari and his NetNavi Mega Man are back, solving digital world incidents. Lan's friends Mail Roll, Dex, and Gutsman also make an appearance. There are 2 main systems to enhance Mega Man: customization and style changes. The Navi Customizer allows you to directly power up Mega Man using program parts. Style changes alter Mega Man's appearance and abilities based on certain conditions, like the Grand Style.
Also mentioned is Bug Style, which is mysterious at this point.
The next page features 2 Game Boy Advance titles. First is Kinnikuman 2, The Path to the Superhero, a wrestling game by Banpresto, and it includes 12-player mode. It seems that timing-based gameplay is a key aspect, where wrestlers pull off special moves and are voiced. This game allows you to team up with a partner to decide who wins. The second is Doki Doki Cooking Series 1, Komugi-chan's Happy Cake, a cooking simulation game from MTO. The game offers a variety of cake recipes, topping ingredients, and decoration options. You can create your own original cake using 48 cake types and 36 different toppings. You can also write a message on the cake. This page showcases 2 Game Boy Advance titles. The first is K1 Pocket Grand Prix 2 by Konami, a fighting game where you train your own fighter to compete against K1 champions. The game features an edit mode for creating unique fighters, complete with customizable parameters and fighting styles like karate, boxing, and Muay Thai. You can earn points to improve your fighter's stats and learn new techniques. The game also features 12-player support via a GBA link cable. The second game is GQ World Soccer Pocket 2, a soccer game featuring 58 national teams. This game has 4 modes of gameplay. The game includes real-time commentary, a superstar mode where you build the strongest team by trading players with other countries, an international cup mode, and also friendly matches, and also PK mode, which lets you practice your penalty kicks. The next page features 2 Game Boy Advance games, Choro Q Advance 2 and Little Busters Q. Choro Q Advance 2 is a customization racing game where you win races to earn money to buy new parts to upgrade your Choro Q car. A new Choro Olympic mode has been added with 12 new types of races that require specific customization. Little Busters Q is an adventure RPG where you fight against Qs. You can collect Q balls by winning battles or trading with people. Use Q balls to enhance weapons and armor, or summon Qs during battle, with over 151 types of QS. This page is an attack guide for Mario Party 4 on the Nintendo GameCube. The page highlights the hidden Bowser Party mode, unlocked after clearing all 5 story mode maps. Bowser Party introduces challenging maps with traps, and Bowser himself as an obstacle.
The page features tips for specific minigames and map events within Bowser Party.
One minigame is Stop Killer, a minigame only available in the Chibi state, where players rapidly press buttons to stop killers and earn coins. Another segment details Mini Bowser Shuffle, also only available in Chibi mode, where you can select from 3 boxes, each containing an item, but Mini Bowser can shuffle the boxes. Finally, there's a description of the Fire-Breathing Bowser Statue event, where landing on a specific space causes a Bowser statue to breathe fire, burning away one of your held items. The page also includes a full map of Bowser Party. The next page continues the attack guide for Mario Party 4, focusing on Bowser Party events. The page starts by introducing the unique aspect of Bowser Party, where Bowser himself roams the map, triggering events when players cross his path. These events vary depending on the character's size, whether they are normal, small, or large. Normal-sized characters lose half their coins, small characters are sent back to the starting point, and large characters trigger a minigame battle. 2 Bowser Party minigames are spotlighted: Bowser and Sumo, where players mash L and R to sumo wrestle Bowser, and Bowser and Dice Battle, where players roll dice to break the opponent's platform. The final part introduces the story Last Battle. The Last Battle, accessed after winning first place in story mode. Players challenge Bowsers in a series of 5 minigames within a dice-shaped lava zone. Losing all lives results in defeat, and falling into the lava is an instant loss. Winning rewards the player with a Bowser present. This page presents a guide to playing Mario Party 4 with friends and details 5 different party maps. When playing multiplayer, if you clear the very difficult setting in story mode, the very difficult setting and the strong plus com level will be added. The guide focuses on Jet Coaster Excitement Party, suggesting players should be mindful of the map's easy movement, and that the direction of the teacups changes each time someone gets on, so use the giant mushroom while facing the direction you want to go. The roller coaster will move everyone on the rail, so if someone is about to get a star, get on the roller coaster to interfere with them. The second party is Exciting Party, where the map is divided into 4 sections, so it is important to move between the maps. If you pay 20 coins, you can be sure to go in the direction of the star, so pay the fee and move between the maps. At the Clibbers Gambling Hall, you will either lose and be returned to the start, or stop on a coin.
Space, so use items and swap capsules.
The next page continues the Mario Party 4 Strategy Guide, focusing on tips and tricks for specific maps. The first map is Heart Pounding Party, where players are advised to use the raft and Django effectively for movement.
It's noted that stars are often located beyond gates.
Creepy Party features red boos that appear and disappear, influencing the path, and a mystery train that takes players to different graveyards on the map. Bustling Party involves a central hotel where players pay coins each time they pass. Stopping on a space allows for warping to other locations, which can be avoided by using a mini mushroom.
This page is an attack guide for Super Monkey Ball 2.
The page introduces advanced techniques for the game, focusing on controlling the monkey ball. It highlights tips to help players improve their skills, such as how to make up for a mistake by using reverse stick and avoiding unwanted bounces. The page also discusses how to decipher the names of the courses to understand their characteristics. Several screenshots accompany the text, showing gameplay scenarios and how to navigate tricky sections of the stages. The page uses images of AAI and other Super Monkey Ball characters in various situations, referencing CM clips and other promotional materials. There is a section showcasing Apai and his friends playing tennis, golf, soccer, and even rowing a boat. This page is an attack guide covering 3 party games that you can play right from the start. It spotlights Super Monkey Ball 2, focusing on Monkey Fight 2, Monkey Target, and Monkey Race 2 modes, which are described as updated versions of previous installments. The Monkey Fight 2 section emphasizes knocking rivals off the stage, advising players to get used to the unique controls. It recommends using the environment to your advantage, especially walls. A guide to item usage is also given, focusing on how each item changes your tactics. Monkey Target explains how to aim and land accurately. It recommends focusing on wind direction and the strategy to grab 2 items to gain advantage, with a magnet ball to stop on landing and Lucky Star to double after landing. Finally, Monkey Race 2 covers achieving rocket starts and prioritizing dash panels over items. The next page reveals new gameplay systems and tactics for Super Robot Wars Original Generation on the Game Boy Advance. It explains how the new systems enhance battles and focuses on 3 new mechanics. The first new mechanic is the proficiency system, allowing difficulty adjustment.
The difficulty changes between easy, normal, and hard, depending on the proficiency values. Next, pilot personalities affect how their morale increases or decreases during combat. Optimist and hard worker are added, affecting how morale rises with actions like dodging or taking hits. Lastly, each pilot has unique proficiencies with spirit commands. Spirit command consumption cost differs among pilots. For example, Ryusei has a lower spirit point cost for the sure hit command. This page offers a walkthrough for the first few scenarios of Super Robot Wars Original Generation, specifically focusing on Ryusei and Kyosuke's routes, highlighting key tactics and unit customization. The page gives a flowchart to help players navigate the first 8 episodes, also offering advice on how to tackle each mission and unlock secrets. It advises players to check for unique events before starting combat, and explains that the available customizations vary depending on the mecha. For the first stage on Ryusei's route, Second Contact, the goal is to defeat all enemies within 4 turns to get higher proficiency. The page advises to draw enemies out. For Kyosuke's first stage, the Broken Wing, the Shattered Nail, the proficiency condition is to defeat all enemies within 2 turns, and on turn 3 is an automatic map clear. It recommends using the Focus Spirit command to lower hit chances. For Ryusei's second stage, Personal Trooper, the proficiency requires defeating all enemies within 2 turns, with enemies appearing as allies appear on certain turns. The strategy is to use the buildings for terrain effects and have Ryusei handle the final blows. For Kyosuke's second stage, New Territory, the proficiency condition is defeating all enemies within 4 turns,
with an event where Excelin's unit is destroyed, triggering Kyosuke's dialogue. The advice here is to keep Excelin next to Kyosuke and utilize her support abilities. The next page continues the walkthrough for Super Robot Wars Original Generation, guiding players through stages 3 to 5 on both Ryusei and Kyosuke's routes, offering strategies and outlining proficiency requirements. For Ryusei's route in Episode 3, Training, the proficiency condition is to clear the map within 4 turns. The guide highlights the importance of protecting Ryusei's HP, advising players to use Aya's assist skills and keep her next to Ryusei. In Episode 4, Fear Game, the focus is on ensuring Ryusei is equipped with real-type weapons. The proficiency condition is to defeat Tenzan. The guide recommends using assist attacks. Episode 5, Antarctic Tragedy, instructs players to target Meijio's destruction in under 2 turns to achieve proficiency on Kyosuke's route. For Episode 3, Cut Before Being Cut, players need to defeat all enemies before the Tausend Fessler reaches the left edge of the map to get proficiency. For Episode 4, Iron Lone Wolf, the proficiency is obtained by defeating all enemies within 5 turns, and the guide suggests using Art Dissen as bait. Finally, in Episode 5, Heavenly Dragon, Otherworld Wind, the proficiency requires defeating all enemies within 6 turns. The guide suggests using Misaki as the main damage dealer. This page continues the Super Robot Wars Original Generation walkthrough, providing guides for Episodes 6 through 8 on both Ryusei and Kyosuke's routes. For Ryusei's route, Episode 6, Threat of the Holy Crusaders, requires defeating all enemies within 4 turns. The guide mentions reinforcements appearing in the 2nd or 3rd turn, depending on the difficulty. Episode 7, Defend the Kanban Straits, focuses on protecting the killer whale, and the guide recommends prioritizing the Tenzan enemies approaching from the other side to obtain proficiency. It involves clearing a map within 3 turns after the enemy reinforcements appear. Episode 8, Heigane Launch, requires reaching the Heigane launch point quickly, not letting enemies get to the location. To get proficiency, 23 elite units are required to be sent north. On Kyosuke's route, Episode 6, The Fallen Angel in White Silver, the proficiency condition is to defeat the Tempest Machine within 7 turns. The guide advises using military facilities for strategic advantage. Episode 7, The Northern Land Burns, involves protecting Tausend Fessler and guides players to defeat the Leon and Urea machines. Episode 8, Separation and requires defeating the Tempest or Tenzan machine within a specified turn limit. The next page is an attack guide for Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Children Lightbook. It introduces how to obtain King Grazer early in the game and recruit devils. The page advises repeating species combination to create high-level demons in the Lightbook version of the game. It pinpoints Harajuku Elementary School as a key early location. It advises players to get to know the demons as soon as possible to gain an advantage. The article also has some tips on specific locations, such as the Tower of Time and Fandle Plain, and the village of Hermitage. It is a boss guide for a battle with Kaim and his henchmen, and it recommends using media and exploiting Kaim's weakness to earth-based magic. It highlights the importance of using the devil data to understand the race and attributes of potential demons to recruit. The page notes notable monsters to recruit and keep an eye out for. This page is an attack guide focusing on Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Children Lightbook/Darkbook, emphasizing partner enhancement. Since the demons are tougher in the Dark Book, it recommends merging demons to make stronger allies and leveling up your partner's magic. It covers key locations like Harajuku Elementary School, noting the protagonist Akira meets his partner there, though the demons encountered differ from the Light Book. It then moves to the portal to Hughstown, highlighting the Ayashi Research Lab for combining demons. Players should buy angel wings to aid progress, and the article mentions the Valley of Wind, advising players to return to Hugh if things get too tough. The page provides boss strategies, such as defeating Typhon in the Shrine of Gales using media and exploiting his weakness to earth attacks. Further areas covered are the Central Land, where fossil fusion is available, the Heimdaller Plain, and the Dark Palace, where boss Gruul is found. It recommends boosting your demons around Central Land before attempting the fight, and using full attack magic. Specific demons to watch out for are mentioned for each area, such as Nekomata in the Cutter's Cave, and Mecher, which is rare. There are screenshots and descriptions of various locations and characters, including Akira meeting Lucifer. The next page is a guide for Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney 2 on the Game Boy Advance. It features advice for players struggling with the new Psycholock system. It suggests re-examining witnesses if you get stuck, as hints are always available for unlocking the Psycholocks. The guide emphasizes that the locks don't always require evidence to be broken, and you should check everywhere, including the main character's comments. The guide specifically covers the second episode, Reunion, and then Turnabout. The story involves Maya accused of murder during a channeling, bringing up issues with the hospital director, the past of the late Misaki, and the succession within the Ayasato family. The guide focuses on gathering information in Kurain village, suggesting players investigate everywhere and talk to Harumi, as she knows something about the case. The guide recommends investigating the places Harumi mentions and notes that Maya loves playing with a ball. The page also features several screenshots from the game, including scenes of Phoenix with Harumi, a broken pot, and some evidence that can be used. This page continues the guide for Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney 2 on the Game Boy Advance. The guide focuses on breaking down the contradictions in Natsumi's testimony, mentioning that her sister Maya, channeling a spirit, visited her after the event. If you shake this statement, her testimony will change. Additionally, the guide mentions that you can find a contradiction between her statement about not being scared and something suspicious. The guide then shifts to the third episode, Turnabout Circus, which involves a circus troupe director's murder on a snowy night. The main suspect is the circus's star magician, Max Galactica. A witness claims to have seen Max on the night of the murder. Introduced characters include Milika, a tiger-taming animal trainer, and Tommy, a clown with a love for quirky jokes. The guide suggests that the director's murder case may involve Max, who initially denies the arrest. You need to show him certain evidence to change his attitude. It also recommends gathering information from circus members, starting with Detective Itonoko. Screenshots show Max and the detective, as well as the scene where the murder took place. The next page continues the Turnabout Circus case in Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney 2 on the Game Boy Advance. The page introduces Milika, the director's daughter, and a tiger tamer, but her reaction to her father's death seems strangely detached. The guide then leads you to uncover Max Galactica's Psycholocks by gathering evidence from the troop leader's room and speaking to Ben, a ventriloquist, and Tommy, a clown who witnessed the event. Both characters express dislike for Max. The guide mentions that Max supposedly hit Ben the morning of the murder. This information is used to confront Max at the detention center, hopefully unlocking his Psycholocks. The page also suggests questioning Detective Itonoko about the crime scene, where a silk hat was found. Itonoko mentions the victim was found on top of a large wooden box. Then the investigation turns to Ben the ventriloquist, to try to uncover who he actually saw. The guide continues to discuss the process of presenting Ben's ventriloquist doll to Milika, prompting Ben to dramatically confess to seeing Max the night of the murder. It suggests that Ben and Max might be rivals for Milika's affections. Screenshots show Detective Itonoko, Ben, Max, and Milika. One shows the broken juice bottle used in the assault and the ring collected by Laustring the monkey. The walkthrough hints that the real culprit's identity will soon be revealed. This page features School Corporation Nindori Garden. It's a mix of reader questions and Nindori staff responses, under the title Edit Department's Question Box. One reader asks about the editor's routine when they're stuck working late. The answer is simple. Sleep. Prioritize sleep, even if it's just for an hour. Another reader is looking for a Mother 2, Earthbound, CM song, to which the editors respond by mentioning they saw a CM and provide a musical chart of the song. There are also anecdotes and stories from readers. One reader talks about TV shopping channel products, specifically air mattresses, being convenient. Another saw Sakurai, likely Masahiro Sakurai, at a Smash Bros. Event. Yet another wants more Pokemon, Fox, and Kirby stuff, saying they don't have enough money. The page then ends with a reader wanting to compare the Kimura Takuya to the wind tactic, as they call it, from the Fukushima prefecture. Also, there is the Nindori Garden logo, and a slogan, "Let's warm up with a Nindori pot on a cold night." Nindori Gakuen, a website featuring reader submissions and humor, includes Iyayami Pikachu, a toy character who says mean things. Readers share dreams, including one about a recurring math answer of 64, and another about being called Lizardin. A reader complains about the editor's noodle consumption, and another about Animal Crossing's consultant Pelly. A Game Emergency Squad segment addresses an Ocarina of Time problem. A Treasure of Our Village section showcases a humorous trip to Italy. And a quiz section features trivia about video games, including Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing, and the hiding of a GameCube. A sexy Kirby illustration concludes the page. The next page features a collection of reader submissions and humorous content related to Nintendo games. One section, titled, "A Little Worried About This," presents observations such as a query about how long it takes to style Phoenix Wright's hair, a comment comparing an elf from Lord of the Rings to Princess Zelda, and amusement at the precise number of holes on a GameCube. There's also a question about whether the character in Susume Tenin Kazoku is based on Princess Peach. Another section, Argument Rebuttal, which is show, focuses on the question of which game character readers would prefer to cosplay, Tingle or Drive as Gad from Luigi's Mansion. Finally, the Parents Association segment shares anecdotes from parents of young gamers, including a child impatiently waiting for a character with cat eyes, a grandmother referring to Pikachu as Poketue, and a father's reaction to seeing Smash Bros. Deluxe. This page is rounded out with fan art and reader contributions, along with a humorous strip featuring Pikmin and another with a hamster and a kotatsu table. The next page presents readers' opinions and impressions, plus a brief section for TV commercial reviews. The game communication segment begins with an announcement that the Opinionated Person corner has been consolidated, streamlining the format for reader submissions regarding games. In the GBA communication section, a reader from Niigata Prefecture expresses their excitement for Digi-Communication, a game they've eagerly awaited. They praise the gameplay, stating it's enjoyable even for non-otaku, and commend its tempo and complex calculations. The etc. segment focuses on TV commercials, with a reader from Fukuoka Prefecture sharing their love for games. They express concern about grotesque content in commercials aimed at children, suggesting that advertisers consider viewers' sensitivities. Finally, a one-word impression section includes humorous observations, such as a friend's comment that Kirby in Super Smash Bros. DX looks unlucky in black and white, a player humorously struggling with the controls in PSO, a reader being surprised by the name of the protagonist in a Zelda game, and another reacting to a controller disconnection message in Eternal Darkness. There are also some short poems, a haiku about horses in a castle, and a short comment section about the game Kirby. This page is titled, "Tell Us Mr. Death Fairy." It's the 31st installment where readers' questions are answered by the Death Fairy. The first question asks about the difference between optical discs and crydroms. The response explains that optical discs use laser light to read and write information, and crydroms are a type of optical disc. DVDs are also mentioned as examples of optical discs used for GameCube software. The second question concerns whether it's safe to store skids in non-woven fabric bags, and if the bags can cause scratches. The response suggests it's generally fine, but scratches can occur. The next question is about the difference in disk capacity between the GameCube and PlayStation 2, despite having similar games. The Death Fairy explains that GC discs hold 1.5 GB, while PS2 DV-ROMs hold 4.7 GB. A section Death Fairy's Garden of Life is included. A reader asks how to become lovers. The Death Fairy gives typical advice.
There are also more reader questions.
One asks if there are times when a person feels like doing anything. Another reader asks, what's the difference between salmon and trout? Lastly, someone asks what the most disgusting food they've ever eaten is, with the answer being canned asparagus. They also ask what the Death Fairy's mother's star sign is, and if they're retiring. The next page features a special project titled, Is the GC Just for Kids? This feature explores the perception of the GameCube as a console primarily aimed at children, and gathers opinions from readers. One reader from Tokyo believes that games should be chosen based on personal preference, regardless of age, citing that adults can enjoy titles like Folktales, Harry Potter, and full-fledged fantasy games. Another reader from Kyoto feels that games are toys and shouldn't be exclusively for children, arguing that adults also have the right to play, highlighting the importance of balancing games with responsibilities. A reader from Chiba discusses the N64's crimes, noting that while some see Nintendo games as inherently for kids, They believe that now titles like Biohazard Zero and Eternal Darkness are challenging this perception. They also point out that GameCube games have aesthetically pleasing designs. Various one-line comments from readers are included. These range from praising the quality of child-oriented PS2 games to arguing that adult games have too many kanji, Chinese characters, and claiming that GameCube is for everyone. This page introduces the Phantasy Star series, a single-player RPG for Sega Mark II and Mega Drive. The original Phantasy Star, 1987, 6,000 yen, is highlighted, featuring 3D dungeons and development input from key figures like Yuji Naka. Phantasy Star 2, 1989, 8,000 yen, takes place a millennium later, with Mother Brain ruling. Phantasy Star 2-1, 1990, 8,700 yen, boasts improved graphics, and the protagonist is Prince Cain. Phantasy Star IV, 1993, 8,800 yen, set a further millennium on, is lauded for its events and narrative. The page concludes with recommendations for finding these games, including used game stores and a PlayStation collection, with a premium. This page from Nindori Gakuen introduces the Game Software Fan Club, featuring fan submissions and artwork related to various games. The first section focuses on Fire Emblem, with fan comments about the difficulty and enjoyment of The Binding Blade. Fan art includes characters from Fire Emblem, The Binding Blade, and Fire Emblem, Genealogy of the Holy War. A Fire Emblem Club section lists favorite characters from the game, such as Roy, Alan, Clarine, and Shanna, among others. Also, there are complaints about one of the characters dying early. Next is a section about The Legend of Zelda, with fans discussing their favorite elements of the series, especially the GameCube and Game Boy Advance titles. A fan expresses excitement for an upcoming Zelda game and loves the child Link, commenting on the Link's appearance in those games. There are also mentions of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. This page continues. Nindori Gakuen, Fan Club Contributions, featuring various Nintendo franchises. The Super Smash Bros. Club RX section includes fan comments on Super Smash Bros. DX, with discussions about desired opponents, favorite characters, like Falco, and voice actors. The comment notes the creator's belief in the game's completeness. The Kirby Superstar Ultra Club Deluxe section details fan experiences, including struggles with 100% completion, and showcases fan art of Kirby and related characters. The Mario Family Club shows fan art of Mario and Peach, with comments on specific items, Fire Flower, Water Pump, and characters. O Mario Party 4 section includes fan art of Peach, game enjoyment, and reminiscing about past games like Yoshi's Island. The page also includes an advertisement for Super Smash Bros. DX. The next page dives into fan submissions focused on various Nintendo games. The Golden Sun Club presents character rankings, with Isaac, Robin, Garcia, Ivan, and Gerald Shiba topping the list. Fans discuss their favorite characters, classes, and memorable scenes from Golden Sun. The Animal Crossing Club showcases fan art and comments regarding favorite villagers and game experiences. The Star Fox Club features fan art and discussions about Star Fox Assault, with emphasis on the character Falco Lombardi and the game's difficulty. Fans share their thoughts on the characters and gameplay mechanics. This page showcases fan submissions and discussions centered around various Nintendo games. The Pokemon Club discusses Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, with the editor noting the mixed reception. Fan art depicts characters like Mei Haruka and Brendan Yuki. The page asks for reader opinions on the game. The Mother Club features fan art and comments about the Mother series, Earthbound. Fans express excitement for a potential Mother 1+2 release on the GBA, and discuss favorite music tracks and characters. The Metroid Club is newly formed and seeks members, with fan submissions and art featuring Samus Aran from the Metroid series. The page references the upcoming American live-action commercials for Metroid. The Seiken Densetsu Mana Club features fan art and discussions about the Mana series. Fans share their experiences with the games and favorite characters. There's a section for member recruitment, showcasing fan art and comments about Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles and Pikmin. The bottom of the page contains submission guidelines and contact information for the magazine. The page also includes upcoming deadline information.
A report on the North American video game market highlights Nintendo and Sega releases, noting shortages of certain titles. Fan dissatisfaction is mentioned, alongside the controversy surrounding Acclaim's BMXXX. The report emphasizes the popularity of sports games and extreme sports titles, and details Nintendo's extensive Christmas release schedule. Key games include Metroid Prime for GameCube and Metroid Fusion for GBA, alongside numerous others, such as Mario Party 4, Tony Hawk 4, and Resident Evil 0. The report covers a wide range of genres and franchises. The next page is an article titled Game Music Forum, which focuses on the music of the Virtual Boy. The author, Masatoshi Nakamura, shares his love for the Virtual Boy's music and expresses a desire to discuss its appeal. He notes that the sound source is a PSG, similar to the Famicom and Game Boy, capable of producing 6 simultaneous sounds, but with a unique sound quality. Nakamura recommends several games for their music, including Galactic Pinball, praising the sound design and music. He also lists Vertical Force, which he states has a Star Soldier feel. He also mentions SD Gundam Dimension War and Waterworld for their soundtracks, and recommends the pop tunes in Jack Brothers. Red Alarm is highlighted with its resemblance to Star Fox and music, with great use of the tempo shifts in the ending theme. Lastly, Toby Dace Panabon is mentioned for its Bomb Man music. The article concludes by describing the Virtual Boy itself as a unique console with a distinct visual experience, creating a one-of-a-kind gaming world, enhanced by its sound. This page is a comic strip titled The Tenon Family by Hyanon, focusing on Dashkun's first experience with the 64DD. The strip features a character named Sauhen, a high-tension mom with a habit of running wild, obsessed with the 64DD. Dashkun expresses his trust in Sauhen regarding 64DD matters, and Sauhen proudly presents the N64 and the rare LandNet limited edition Clear Black 64DD. She also shows off her customized Miyamoto Shigeru version of the 64DD and a LandNet membership card as proof of being a DD child, asserting the importance of her member number. The characters discuss the 64DD, noting that Nintendo hardware add-ons haven't always been successful, and they ponder the potential of the 64DD and discuss how the disc system sold 5 million units. They also discuss the potential for unique Japanese-made games if the market were exclusive to Japan, and speculate on what great games might have been born if the 64DD had continued, highlighting that add-on hardware like the disc system and 64DD were only sold in Japan. The strip ends with Sauhen being scolded for not listening properly. This page continues the comic strip The Tenon Family by Hyanon, picking up on the 64DD theme. The characters discuss the 64DD's potential and the desire to play games like Mother 3 on it. Sauhen hints at hidden secrets, comparing the 64DD to a 5-storied pagoda of dreams. Dashkun wants to see something good, and Sauhen begins a long story. Dashkun imagines playing Mother 3 and suddenly wakes up in his room to find it clean, before finally realizing that the whole experience was a dream and calling for his mother to wake up. This page lists upcoming GameCube and Game Boy Advance software releases. For the GameCube, it highlights titles such as Biohazard 0, Resident Evil 0, Muscle Champion, Super Monkey Ball 2, and Kinnikuman 2 Sei. Other notable games include Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, NBA Live 2003, and various sports titles like FIFA 2003 and Disney sports games. It also mentions The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. There are many unreleased games with release dates TBA to be announced, with games like the GT Cube and the release of Biohazard 4, Resident Evil 4. The Game Boy Advance section features Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby, Doki Doki Cooking Series, Super Robot Wars, Original Generation, and Harry Potter. Other notable titles include K1 Pocket Grand Prix 2, and titles from Q Games, with the releases of Koro Q Advance 2 and a game called Little Buster Q. Here is a release schedule for the Game Boy Advance and highlights many other games with release dates. These games range from Konami's titles to entertainment titles and games based on anime. Some of the titles listed are Dual Blade, Tomb Raider Prophecy, Hajime no Ippo the Fighting, and a Minimoni game. There are titles like the Chocobo Land, the latest release of the Saga series, and the list continues with many other listed titles. There is also a list of Game Boy Color games. The page also includes CARD titles from Nintendo.
The next page is a questionnaire for readers of Nintendo Dream magazine. It asks about their favorite and least favorite articles from the magazine, which games they are looking forward to, and their thoughts on the new wireless controller Wavebird and the new silver GameCube. Readers are asked to select from a list of magazines that they regularly read, including a selection of manga and gaming titles. There are spaces provided for personal details such as name, address, phone number, and preferred pen name. There is a question box to write any questions about Nintendo, and a list of the game titles and article names with numbers for the questionnaire. This page features a muscle commentary corner. The writer is trying different kinds of dumplings at Namco Namja Town's World Dumpling Festa. The writer samples German Multaschen dumplings, Turkish mantu dumplings, Russian pelmeni dumplings, and Tunisian fried brick dumplings. The commentator samples Nepalese momo dumplings and Mongolian kushur dumplings. Also, there is a reader questionnaire, and at the bottom a list of winners of a giveaway. The giveaway includes prizes like a Nintendo GameCube, Game Boy Advance, Pokemon goods, a Star Fox comic, Star Fox Adventures game, and a Castlevania card. The next page is an interview about Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, celebrating the 10th anniversary of Kirby, the first anniversary of Super Smash Bros. Melee, and the release of Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland. It also commemorates the success of the Super Smash Bros. Melee Orchestra concert, the expansion of HAL Laboratories' Yamanashi Development Center, and the 80th issue of Nintendo Dream magazine. The page features photos of programmer Eitaro Nakamura, General Director Masahiro Sakurai, and designer Teruhiko Suzuki, surrounded by various Kirby characters. The next page features an interview with the creators of Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland. From HAL Laboratory, Masahiro Sakurai, Eitaro Nakamura, and Teruhiko Suzuki. Sakurai mentions that it's the first time he's been told, "Happy Anniversary," for releasing a game, expressing gratitude to everyone involved, including those who attended the Super Smash Bros. Melee tournaments at Toshimain. Sakurai states that there are no plans for Super Smash Bros. 3, as Super Smash Bros. Melee was created with the feeling that it would be a unique title. While there were difficulties in porting the game to the GameCube, Sakurai explains the team aimed to make it accessible. The team reflects on Super Smash Bros. Melee, noting the complexity of the controls. Sakurai also mentions the positive feedback from the Super Smash Bros. Melee concert, and expresses his disappointment that the included CD didn't fully capture the live experience. He mentions that live sounds are much more important, implying the CD did not capture this essence. The page includes a photo of vocalist Makiko Omoto and Sakurai, who hosted the Super Smash Bros. Melee concert, where the CD was to be included as a bonus, but never released for sale. HAL Laboratories' Masahiro Sakurai, Eitaro Nakamura, and Teruhiko Suzuki discussed the development of Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, originally Kirby's Adventure, for the Game Boy Advance. Sakurai, while initially hesitant about a remake, felt compelled by the Grugba's remake trend and the need for a quick project following the Kirby anime's launch. The team prioritized accessibility for newcomers, while retaining depth for experienced players. A key challenge was implementing 4-player mode, requiring careful coordination and adjustments to enemy placement and AI. Despite a tight time frame, the team balanced accessibility with depth by adjusting Kirby's speed and power, resulting in a successful and popular game. The next page features an interview with Masahiro Sakurai, Eitaro Nakamura, and Teruhiko Suzuki from HAL Laboratory. They discuss the development of Kirby's Adventure, remade as Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, and challenges in recreating it. Sakurai initially opposed remaking Kirby's Adventure, but the idea of a 4-player action game was appealing. The team focused on making the game accessible to new players while maintaining its depth. Suzuki mentions being scolded for certain design choices, while Sakurai notes how the team prioritized speed and responsiveness. They discussed the game's release, with Nakamura visiting stores to see the game on shelves and hear customer feedback. Sakurai reminisces about organizing Kirby toy displays in the sales area, with help from the team. Regarding the new game's development, Sakurai explains that they experimented with Kirby's size relative to the Famicom version. They aimed to create a polished experience for modern players, improving the graphics, including redrawing backgrounds in CG. Suzuki shares that they referenced data from Super Deluxe, Kirby Superstar, to create character movements aiming for a balance between visual appeal and performance. They had to manage memory constraints. Sakurai concludes by stating that, while there was a Kirby's Adventure base, they aimed for the remake to feel like a new game. Here is a picture of Teruhiko Suzuki with website reference and a comment about editor Yoshida Naoko. There is also screenshots of 4 Kirbys in different colors to display the 4-player mode. The next page is part of the Kirby's Adventure Deluxe interview. The team discusses the challenges of remaking the game, making it accessible to newcomers, and adding new features. Sakurai mentions using Super Deluxe, Kirby Superstar, as a reference for character movements. They aimed for a balance between visual appeal and performance. Sakurai humorously describes the game as Jumps Miyamoto, and comments on how to approach remakes and balance difficulty, aiming for accessibility and enjoyable gameplay. The team also talks about including voice acting and movie-like cutscenes, with the goal of making the game engaging for children and adults alike. They experimented with Kirby's voice to create a unique sound. Nakamura mentions that the maximum number of Kirbys that can appear on the screen is 120 during the opening sequence. There is also a section that promotes the game by stating, "A button alone, a sub-game that anyone can play." Masahiro Sakurai, leading the Kirby's Adventure Deluxe Game Boy Advance development, initially worried about the title screen's impact. He wanted a visually striking design without excessive data, emphasizing the game's need to stand out in retail displays. Sakurai conceived the core concept, aiming for full utilization of the Game Boy Advance's capabilities, including a 4-player mode and single cartridge play. Sub-games, drawing inspiration from the Famicom version, were designed to be simple and enjoyable for all players, including a fast-paced minigame called Quick Draw. The team discussed the game's visual and audio presentation, with options for varied playtimes and player-customizable accessories. The interview also touched on promotional material concepts, model data creation, and the use of existing data from Super Smash Bros. Sakurai acknowledged potential misinterpretations from his comments and expressed overall satisfaction with the project. The next page is a Kirby's Adventure Deluxe interview, featuring Masahiro Sakurai and other developers. They discuss Sakurai's role as general director, balancing ideas, and keeping the team focused. Sakurai explains how he encourages staff to understand the Kirby concept, sharing his vision for the game. The developers discuss working in Yamanashi, finding it peaceful but occasionally missing the stimulation of Tokyo. They touch on the need for high-quality software and maintaining the accessibility of Kirby games for all players. Sakurai also mentions a potential future for Kirby, with simple yet impactful games. A photo shows the development team with a sign commemorating the interview. This page features an interview with Masahiro Sakurai and other developers about Kirby's Adventure Deluxe. Sakurai mentions working on at least 2 projects and discusses his favorite drinks, with a shared joke about not wanting to spoil a good place. They talk about the official announcement of the GameCube Kirby title and the experimental nature of its development. Sakurai jokes about not selling the game if it wasn't good. Nakamura talks about the effort to make the game support 4-player mode, and Sakurai says Kirby became a monumental creation for them. The developers also discuss their personal interests, like skiing, snowboarding, going to hot springs, and sports. Sakurai talks about his relaxing weekends spent doing housework. Regarding marriage, Sakurai jokes about people's interest in his marital status, preferring to be single for the freedom it provides. They also discuss going to eat soba noodles, visiting shrines in Tokyo, and enjoying the local cuisine around their location in Yamanashi. Sakurai mentions eating convenience store bento boxes in the past. The final statements from the developers touch on their hopes for players to connect and play the game together using link cables. They also reflect on the evolution of Kirby's moves and potential for future advancements. The page also features a photo of the building where the interview took place and a picture of Mt. Fuji. The next page presents an interview with Masahiro Sakurai and other developers about Kirby's Adventure Deluxe. Sakurai discusses the cursor's role, aiming for a neutral character design for Kirby to allow for diverse gameplay. He notes that pure customers are able to play without a sense of incongruity. Nakamura expresses that Kirby is mellow and gentle. Sakurai says people will have different viewpoints, and self-analysis is needed. He talks about his low defense but dangerous counterattacks. Sakurai jokes that internal employees see him as strict, while external people have a different view of him, but he understands the feeling.
Suzuki mentions Sakurai's high standards and how he always aims higher. Nakamura agrees that he does feel that way. The most delightful moment for Nakamura was when his mother called him to say she had purchased it on release day. The developers discuss various aspects of the game's development, including the design of copy abilities and the challenges they face due to limited capacity. They also share anecdotes about the team's reactions to the game. It also presents a screenshot from the game and an image from the anime's opening party. There is a link to the HAL Laboratories website where you can check out the anime's party. Finally, it ends with staff diary entry about the Kirby anime's midterm gathering.
The next page is part of the Ask Nintendo Q&A section, which answers questions from readers. The section is hosted by editor Sauhen, who directs questions to Nintendo's planning department, specifically Mr. H.
This edition marks the 80th installment.
The first question is about releasing a new color for the GameCube.
A reader from Hokkaido asks when a new color will be released.
Nintendo responds that a silver GameCube will be released on December 1st. The silver color was chosen due to its popularity in marketing tests conducted in Japan and the United States. Nintendo believes it complements the metallic trend in AV products. The commercial for the silver GameCube features Ichiro Suzuki to appeal to a wider audience. Nintendo also mentions that a free Nintendo Book Winter Edition will be available at stores in December, featuring Ichiro Suzuki on the cover, promising new information and content. A small panel shows the existing GameCube colors: purple, orange, and black. The page also features a character data file on Zelda, highlighting her first appearance in The Legend of Zelda, 1986, and noting that her name came from the wife of an American writer. The entry also touches on her role in Super Smash Bros. DX, and teases her appearance in The Wind Waker. Additionally, there is a section titled Congo's One Shot, featuring a photo of HAL Laboratory in autumn with red leaves, mentioning an upcoming interview with Masahiro Sakurai about Kirby's Adventure Deluxe. The next page continues the Ask Nintendo Q&A section, focusing on GameCube-related topics and campaigns for The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Question 2 addresses why there's a pre-order campaign for The Wind Waker. Nintendo explains that pre-ordering the game by November 28th gets you a chance to play Ocarina of Time and Master Quest on a GameCube at the store. They clarify that The Wind Waker is connected to Ocarina of Time's world. The claim is that playing Ocarina of Time beforehand enhances the experience, revealing a sense of evolution. Nintendo hopes pre-ordering fans will be satisfied. Question 3 asks about the release of the Wavebird wireless controller. Nintendo announces it will be available on December 5th in silver. They highlight its convenience due to the lack of cables and how responsive it is, even from a distance. It is mentioned how the GameCube can have software with vibration functions and to use the software as needed.
Question 4 seeks more information about The Wind Waker.
Nintendo reveals that enemies can drop their weapons during battle and pick up others. The developers mention that this was partly the programmer's idea, and that the staff worked hard to include it in the game. The staff also mentioned that the game is being released in December, and those that pre-ordered by the 28th of November could enjoy the campaign. A screenshot of Ocarina of Time GC Master Quest is featured. This page continues the Ask Nintendo section, now focusing on the Nintendo GameCube and Game Boy Advance. Question 5 asks about the characters in The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
Nintendo playfully responds that there are many characters.
They mention that the side characters in towns have unique personalities and add flavor, even enough to feature in commercials. While characters like Tingle and the Postman have appeared in previous Zelda games, the Wind Waker's characters are on another level. The Postman, who resembles a bird-like creature, also features. Question 6 discusses user feedback on Eternal Darkness for the GameCube, saying it's been well received as very interesting. Players feel it differs from previous horror games, with dark visuals. Question 7 asks for feedback on the Nintendo Game Front, the game showroom, and it is reported to be popular, especially on weekends, being a great spot for dates and families, with attractions like dinosaur exhibits, and being a place for gamers to experience new games before release. Question 8 discusses the upcoming Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance, being highly anticipated. The focus in this new game is the contest feature, where players can strengthen their bond with their Pokemon. Also in the game is 2v2 battles, requiring strategic gameplay.
Nintendo also states the game has a great story and is unlike other shallow RPGs.
The page features screenshots from Ocarina of Time, Master Quest, and Eternal Darkness. This page continues the Ask Nintendo section. The page starts by discussing the latest Pokemon game for the Game Boy Advance, and notes that while it is a Game Boy Advance exclusive title, the game features a GameCube in the main character's room, hinting at a possible future game reveal. Question 9 addresses a query about the location of the Tokyo Service Center. The response confirms it has moved in November to Asakusabashi. The previous location in Kanda was undergoing renovations. While convenient, the new location is a 10-minute walk from Akihabara.
Question 10 addresses a question about Ayumi Hamasaki appearing in the St. Giga Satellaview service. Satellaview was a service that allowed Super Famicom users to download game data and listen to radio broadcasts. Ayumi Hamasaki had a radio show broadcast on the service. The page also features artwork from the fan art box, and a drawing for the anniversary of the Super Smash Bros. Deluxe. There is also a box for sending in questions to Nintendo.
The next page showcases Animal Crossing Plus Village Festival, and opens with the cozy feeling of November, anticipating the first snowflakes. It reflects on the memories of visiting the village for the first time, reminiscing about the first anniversary of Animal Crossing Plus. It encourages players to create festive villages for everyone to enjoy. It features a village spotlight section, highlighting a unique village day from a player in Kanagawa, showcasing their 1st anniversary events, and a flower contest scheduled for January 3rd. The village has a unique flair with a clothing store, and a system of village rules and fines. There's also Forest Picture Book, The Letter, showcasing artwork from Ibaraki, depicting a touching story about friends. The page includes screenshots of the game, showing off the customized player homes and quirky village details. There's also a segment about the Batiri clothing store that offers consultations, custom orders, and even has hotel staff outfits available. The final section also mentions visiting a home in which the player has to pay a fine for touching a Haniwa statue. The next page features reader submissions and game-related content. First is The Secret of Mikan in Kotatsu, where a reader from Osaka shares a humorous image of oranges arranged to resemble the character Mr. Saturn from the Kirby games. Next up is Animal Crossing, showcasing the overseas version. It mentions the Harvest Festival in November, and introduces characters like Maple, Poncho, Cody, Pudge, Olive, Cupcake, Vladimir, Blue Bear, Murphy, and Sherry. The page also features screenshots from the game, highlighting Thanksgiving, and the rare items available from Crazy Red's shop. A reader from Chiba shares their artwork for the Nindori Schools Festival, featuring a bazaar scene.
The featured prize is a GameCube bag.
It also answers a question on how to connect a GameCube to a TV.
Readers are encouraged to send in videos and photos of their villages, as well as unique designs and creations.
T-shirts are also up for grabs, and submissions are due by the end of the month.
Lastly, the submission address is listed.
The next page is a Pokemon promotional page presented by Transl City. It highlights the official Pokemon website, currently running with a wealth of information, including the latest on games, anime, and cards. The site features sections for games, anime, movies, trading cards, events, and merchandise. The game section offers the newest information on games, including the recently released Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. A section is dedicated to the Pokemon trading card game, with new product information and access to the official card game site. The site also allows you to check out past video releases and movies with behind-the-scenes reports, while the TV anime section is dedicated to Pokemon Advanced Generation, with information on past episodes and upcoming stories. The Pokemon Basics section is presented as a beginner's guide to understanding the world of Pokemon, with the goal to become a Pokemon professor, and access to the Pokemon Databank. The next page is a Pokemon promotional page which features a Pokemon minigame called Pokemon Sodate Yasan Mini, where you raise Pokemon. In this game, Professor Oak entrusts you with either Torchic, Trico, or Mudkip, and you raise them by playing with them and giving them food. The game has a vibration feature when playing with friends. It was scheduled for release on December 14th, with a price of 1,200 yen. This page also introduces a new series of goods featuring designs based on past game packages to commemorate the release of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire on the Game Boy Advance. These include game collectible t-shirts with cartridge illustrations and game logos, as well as game pins featuring each title's logo and key characters. The page also has details about Pokemon Center locations, including Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya. There is an advertisement for Pokemon merchandise as part of a giveaway for handkerchiefs and other items. Additionally, there's a preview of a column titled Pikachu's True Identity. This page is a Capcom GBA catalog showcasing titles released for the Game Boy Advance. It features screenshots and descriptions for various games, including Mega Man Battle Network and Mega Man Battle Network 2, Data Action RPG-S, Final Fight 1, an action game, Gyakuten Seiban, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, and Gyakuten Seiban 2, Law Battle Games. Breath of Fire, a changeable RPG Super Street Fighter 2X Revival, a fighting action game, Black, a single-person training RPG, Rockman Zero, an action game, Rockman and Forte, an action game, Yushin Rhapsody, a jockey RPG, Hitsuji no Kimochi, an action puzzle game. The page also mentions that there are 16 Capcom GBA titles in total, and asks what would be the best Christmas present. It promotes the games for the GBA platform. This page is Rockmania, a Rockman, Mega Man, Information Corner. It announces a 15th anniversary event for Rockman to be held at Makuhari Messe on December 15th, from 10 o'clock to 1600, with the latest games and merchandise, mentioning it is the 15th birthday, and it will be at the Makuhari Messe. The page also promotes the Net Battle Tour 2003, taking place at the World Hobby Fair, including a Net Battle Royal tournament for Rockman X3, a technical course by Iguchi Meijin for beginner to intermediate players, a rare data distribution corner, a Higureya shop selling limited goods, and demo corners for new software like Rockman X Transmission for GameCube, alongside other Capcom titles. The bottom half showcases the eCap.com online store, with navigator Urusawa Kana promoting apparel. It features Capcom's Music Generation 4 Famicom Music Collection, Rockman 16, with a price of 4,800 yen. It announces the release of Mega Man Battle Network 3 for 4,800 yen with bonus content card, and Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, for 2,980 yen as a best price version. A new iMode app game is available, Ghosts and Goblins, for your mobile phone, and a Easy Web Easy Plus game called Assemble COPN. The next page features a Sega Break Challenge, where the staff of the magazine take on Sega's Amusement Vision team in the game Monkey Shot from Super Monkey Ball 2. The magazine staff and developers compete, with penalties for losing. The page has tips to avoid losing focus on your reticle and to conserve ammo. Monkey Shot is described as a shooting game where you shoot incoming enemies, and losing all lives results in a game over. A mini screenshot shows a boss fight. There's also a small topics section about a baseball-themed campaign on the Mizuno website, where you can win prizes such as a GBA or GBA games like Yakyutsuku or Greatest 9, and some Mizuno baseball gloves. Additionally, there is a section highlighting an Avonlea stationery set and an original jumper as prizes, featuring autographs from developers. This page contains an interview with the Amusement Vision development team. The interview features Ueda and Utoshi, who discuss the company's focus on quality over quantity, with about 60 staff members. They discuss the development of titles for Nintendo hardware, starting with Super Monkey Ball, and how they wanted to produce their games to be compared to F-Zero. The page also mentions the unveiling of Zero GCAC at an event, and the positive reception it received, discussing the Nagashiness felt in the game's atmosphere and visuals. Nagoshi himself ensures that he keeps in contact and checks in with the team about progress. There is information about Amusement Vision's activities, with the team's social clubs and the trending game, the Kikyu Rapid Express. The team also talks about various events and promotions featuring II from Super Monkey Ball, including appearances on a children's TV show and mobile content, as well as an upcoming Virtua Striker 2002 tournament. Finally, both Ueda and Utoshi add a message for the readers. Ueda recommends purchasing Monkey Ball 2 and playing it with friends. Utoshi emphasizes the depth of the story mode and encourages readers to continue supporting Amusement Vision's efforts on Nintendo hardware. The right side of the page shows screenshots of Super Monkey Ball and Virtua Striker series, with text descriptions that state they are popular games. This page is a promotional advertisement for a Sega and Nindori collaboration event on November 23rd. The event showcases 22 Sega GameCube and Game Boy Advance titles. The event, called Sega Soccer Slam and Nindori Cup, is a reader participation event held at Sega's headquarters. There will be unreleased titles and the chance to play them all. Listed are GameCube titles, including Eternal Arcadia Legend, Sonic Mega Collection, Super Monkey Ball 2, Sega Soccer Slam, Phantasy Star Online Episodes 1 and 2, 18-Wheeler, Beach Spikers, Crazy Taxi, Virtua Striker 3.2002, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and Super Monkey Ball. For Game Boy Advance, the titles include Sonic Advance 2, Sega Rally, J-League Pro Soccer Club, Pro Baseball Team, Greatest 9, The Pinball of the Dead, Shining Soul, Sonic Advance, Column Scramble, Mina de Puyo Puyo, and Choo Choo Rocket. The page highlights Sega Soccer Slam, encouraging players to experience the over-the-top soccer action on a large screen. The game features 3-on-3 soccer with no fouls and allows punches. Sega Professor Teriyama gives a message to readers, encouraging them to train hard and challenge him at the event. The next page advertises the Sega Dream World event, promising that all titles, including unreleased software, are playable. The event is being held on November 23rd at Sega's headquarters in Tokyo. Attendees will receive luxurious gifts. The page shows game screenshots from Nintendo GameCube and Game Boy Advance titles. Mentioned are Super Monkey Ball, Sonic Advance, Phantasy Star Online, Crazy Taxi, and other games. There will be appearances by Ayai, and attendees can take commemorative photos. Present items such as Sonic stickers, Sonic KO, and Akerai figures, and Akerai hand towels are also featured. Admission is free. This page showcases fan art submissions based on the theme of The Legend of Zelda. The writer notes that many entries featured Link from Ocarina of Time rather than The Wind Waker. They expected more submissions of the younger Link and are pleased with the variety of adult Link art. The page displays fan art pieces from various artists, including a Biohazard piece, a Final Fantasy Tactics Advance art piece, and other illustrations based on Super Smash Bros. Melee. Artists such as Rumiko, Yoku, Seal, and others are credited for their submissions. The writer appreciates the artist's creativity and attention to detail. The Mario Cinetai fan art collection showcases a variety of Nintendo and other video game-inspired illustrations. Pieces include Pokemon characters in winter attire, Mario, Yoshi, So-style characters, Star Fox, Zelda, Ace Attorney, Super Smash Bros., Kirby, and Star Ocean. The editor provides commentary on artistic style, colors, character details, and artist influences. Collaborative works and pieces inspired by specific characters or requests are also featured. The collection highlights the diverse range of fan art and the passion of the artists involved. This page features Mario Cinetai, a collection of 4-panel comic strips. The strips cover various game-related scenarios and jokes, including parodies of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Star Fox, and Kirby. One comic shows Link trying to use an ocarina mechanic, while another features the Star Fox team dealing with cold weather and a new burger shop. Kirby is also featured in a comic about trying a new item. The humor is derived from exaggerating in-game mechanics and character traits. This page features fan art submissions for a high-rise apartment building. Various artists illustrate characters and scenes from games like Mother, Star Fox Advance, Phantasy Star Online, Rockman XE, Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, The Legend of Zelda, and more. Subjects include characters like Link, Shawnee, Trombone, and Pokemon gym leaders. The art ranges from detailed character portraits to evocative scenes, with artists commenting on their inspiration and techniques. The page highlights a diverse range of gaming influences and showcases a wealth of fan creativity. The next page showcases fan-submitted artwork inspired by The Legend of Zelda. Various artists contribute illustrations featuring characters like Link, Zelda, and Tingle. The artwork displays different styles and interpretations, with comments from the artists about their inspiration, such as the game The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. The artists express their fondness for the characters and their experiences with the games, with one even mentioning they would like to play the Mystical Seed of the Tree game. The page is a collection of creative tributes to the Zelda franchise from fans. This page showcases fan artwork and illustrations, categorized into sections like Illustrations Under 10 Years Old and Illustrator Fan Letters. The Illustrations Under 10 Years Old section features artwork of characters like Pikachu, Kirby, Daisy, and various interpretations of Mario. There is also fan art of the game Mega Man Battle Network. The Illustrator Fan Letters section includes messages of support and appreciation for various artists. There are also some drawings of characters from various games. There is artwork, including some interesting takes on Mario and Luigi and other characters. It ends with some information on how to submit fan content to the magazine. The next page provides tips and secrets for various Game Boy Advance games, starting with Super Mario Advance 3. It reveals how to unlock hidden courses, including clearing the last boss and collecting over 800 points in each world. Successfully doing so unlocks extra content, including new levels based on the Yoshi's Island version. Next is a section for Kirby, Nightmare in Dreamland, detailing how to unlock a harder mode by completing the game under specific conditions. This unlocks the extra mode where your health is reduced, creating a more challenging experience, or a Meta Knight mode, where you play as Meta Knight with limited abilities. Lastly is Zoids Versus, providing secret codes to unlock additional Zoids. The page also shows images of Cyclops and Tiger Beta, alongside their descriptions and unlock codes. This page provides more tips and secrets from Drytex Dojo. Sega Soccer Slam features 10 hidden commands unlocking visual changes like an eyeball or Rob Willock's head. Beast Shooter has a one-time hidden battle after clearing Castle 7F. A Dream Technique section encourages reader submissions for impressive game techniques. And a How to Write a Postcard section details submission guidelines for games like Gas Soccer Slam. Improvised Dribble Dojo showcases, tricks, and Drytech play segments detail strategies for Super Smash Bros. DX, Low Handicap, Coin Battle, Ice Climbers, and Animal Crossing, Bee Evasion. The page concludes with a call for further Drytech submissions and a note on unreleased stories. The next page features Gathering Bug Academy, GBA. Focusing on the Miroku troupe, the author takes part in their online theatrical activities within Phantasy Star Online. So, players assume roles and create unique in-game performances, with emphasis on humor and dramatic storytelling. The writer highlights the Miroku troupe and praises their unique approach to in-game role-playing. Screenshots from the game show other players like Kelkul, Sango, Roboko, and in-game events. A section titled Steel Mask, Nindori appears, featuring the Nindori character in different screenshots. Another game screen shows characters Hanzo, Rare Taru, and Nintendo Setsu. This page features a comic strip related to the Miroku troupe theatrical activities within Phantasy Star Online. So, the silver-armored character, possibly Steel Mask Nindori, is in a conversation with the Blackbird character. The conversation touches upon the Miroku troupe's performances, referencing GABA-style space cop dramas and Mito Koman skits. The silver-armored character expresses familiarity with their content, and then orders the Blackbird character to join the troupe for further training. The next page features a spotlight on Rare Teru and Nintendo Seitu, from the Miroku troupe, theatrical activities within Phantasy Star Online. Preso. It highlights their 15-minute performances, noting they're popular enough to warrant repeat showings the following week for those who missed the first run. Rare Teru played the villain Nintendo Setsu in the period drama Rare Teru Samurai. The page includes character art of both Rare Teru and Nintendo Seitu, along with in-game screenshots showing them in action. There are chat bubbles, and a comment that Nintendo Seitu is quite the villain when he strikes a pose. Additionally, there's a message stating that even after leaving the stage, they can't relax, because some performers have to play multiple roles due to the number of actors involved. The page mentions a Christmas present from Miroku Troupe, a DVD featuring their performances. This page features Phantasy Star Online and the theatrical activities of the Miroku troupe, specifically Rare Teru and Nintendo Seitu. The page notes that working together with Rare Teru as the lead and the veteran leader, and Miss Sango from the group, gives them a strong sense of security. It mentions Rare Teru's experience with GCPSO, Phantasy Star Online on GameCube, easing concerns about his initial online gaming experience. Despite performing many times, he still ad-libs. The author comments on the difficulty of mispressing buttons, as long lines of dialogue can appear if shortcuts are misassigned, causing embarrassment. They emphasize the importance of having the script and TV screen side by side for reference during performances. A page includes in-game screenshots with character dialogue and action. There's mention of short talk sessions with the audience after the show to gather opinions and announce upcoming performances. On the right side of the page there is a script with dialogue like, "Please forgive me," from Rare Teru, and characters such as the Evil Magistrate and Echigoya. It also includes stage directions and notes. The Miroku Troupe, a So-Hero show group since the Dreamcast era, performs weekly lobby shows inspired by department store rooftop performances. Consisting of 6 members, ages 20 to 43, the troupe features a period drama and is developing a PSO movie. They've presented trial performances to Sonic Team, receiving positive feedback. Future performances include Maito Koman and Ragol Manyuki. The troupe leader, a 43-year-old, notes PopSo's vibrant online community, allowing for free creative expression, and encourages audience interaction. The interview includes screenshots of in-game characters and gameplay. The next page is a comic strip featuring characters from the Kamen Rider franchise. The characters converse about a performance, with one character expressing nervousness and concern about audience perception. The conversation touches on the benefits of the experience and future plans. There's also a humorous exchange involving the Shocker leader and his subordinates. The next page is an advertisement for Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 9 Kataiban, Power Pros 9, on the Nintendo GameCube and Game Boy Advance. The ad highlights the updated 2002 season data, new scenarios, and the return of replay functionality. A new run! Homerun-kun mode is introduced, challenging players to hit home runs from Tokyo to Fukuoka Dome. The ad also mentions adjustments to success mode abilities. The next page features 2 Nintendo GameCube games. The first is Generation of Chaos Exceed, described as a simulation RPG with SLG and RPG elements and anime cutscenes. It supports up to 400 soldiers in battles, with SLG mode focusing on kingdom management and RPG mode involving dungeon exploration. The second game is Zero Fighter Gekitsui Senki, a flight shooting game where you can experience alternate history scenarios using real-world warplanes. It allows players to fly not only Japanese planes, but also planes from other countries. It features a cockpit view and replay mode to view highlights. Aircraft such as the Zero Fighter Type 21, Mitsubishi G4 Meters, Supermarine Spitfire, Messerschmitt Me 262, P-51 Mustang, and F-6F Hellcat are included. This page features 2 Game Boy Advance titles. First is Summon Night, Craft Sword Monogatari, an action RPG, where the player, as a blacksmith, crafts over 100 types of weapons and adventures with a guardian beast to become the best blacksmith. The story is set in the world of the PlayStation Summon Night series. The second game is Monster Maker 4, Flashcard/Killer Dice, a card dungeon RPG revival of the original game, born as a card game in 1989. The game features an all-star cast and a card deck-based battle system. 2 versions are available with different main characters: Flashcard Reiji, a hot-blooded type, and Yuma, a mysterious girl, and Killer Dice Shu, a cool type, and Ami, a competitive type. Screenshots show dungeon exploration and card battles. Characters like Lufia and Daphne are also mentioned. The next page showcases 2 more Game Boy Advance titles. First up is Sengoku Kakume Gaiden, a Sengoku-era action RPG where you team up with historical warlords to defeat demons. The game features real-time combat, various weapon types like swords, spears, and bows, and the ability to travel across Japan. Players collect magical orbs and battle demon generals, and can choose to play as either a male or female character. The page highlights co-op play and the ability to conquer territory. The second game is Kiseka Gurumi, Cheste and the Magic Adventure of the Stuffed Animals, an adventure game where you play as a girl named Cheste who can create and dress up stuffed animals. You'll explore a magical world together with your custom-made plush companions. Lastly, there is All Japan Youth Soccer Tournament 2, Aim for Japan's Best, which is a sports simulation game where you manage a youth soccer team as a coach. Train your players, give them instructions during matches, and lead them to victory. The game boasts minigame training and improvements over the previous installment. This page showcases the development of a strategy guide for Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire,
highlighting that the project is spearheaded by a team of veteran guide creators known for their work on previous Pokémon titles. The guide will be split into two parts, a story guide in December and a Pokédex guide in January. The focus of the story guide is to provide a simple walkthrough along with post-game content, and the Pokédex section will reveal all Pokémon. The page also teases the contents of the upcoming Mario Party 4 strategy guide, scheduled for release on December 6th. The guide promises detailed strategies for each stage and minigame, along with special extras like controller stickers and a map book. The map book is designed to provide an overview of each stage so that the player can view everything and get a good understanding of the stages. Additionally, the page lists previously released games for the GameCube, Nintendo 64, and Game Boy Advance, along with their prices. Games such as Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race, Blue Storm, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Perfect Dark, Mario Kart Advance, and more are listed here. Finally, a contest is advertised where purchasing a Nintendo Dream Strategy Guide enters you for a chance to win a 2,000 yen toy voucher. The next page is a Nintendo GameCube software catalog showcasing upcoming game releases. It includes a guide on how to read the catalog, explaining the color coding for different genres like action, act, RPG, adventure, ADV, simulation, SLG, shooting, SHT, racing, RAC, sports, SPT, puzzle, PUZ, table, tab, and other, etc. Several games are featured, including Super Monkey Ball 2, with a comment about its engaging story mode, Kinnikuman 2 Say, highlighting interviews with the developers and fans, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, inviting players to experience the world of the original story. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee is also shown, with its roster of 11 classic monsters. Other games include Sonic Mega Collection, with 7 classic Sonic games, and Tomokazu, showcasing the performance of the GameCube. Bomberman Jetters is also listed, promising classic bombing action with 4 player battles, along with Spider-Man, based on the movie, along with Rollorama. Also showing is Wario World, Rockman XZ Transmission, GC Naruto, Soul Calibur 2, Sonic Adventure 1, Virtua Fighter Quest, Shaman King, and The Legend of Zelda. The Wind Waker, promising Super Special Edition pre-order campaigns. Closing out the page is Eternal Arcadia Legend, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, and Rune 2. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page features a collection of upcoming and recently released games for the Nintendo GameCube. Titles include GT Cube, a racing game, Grand Heat, another racing title, YA Golf, NBA Live 2003, FIFA 2003 European Soccer, Evolution Skateboarding, Disney Sports, American Football, and Real Powerful Pro Baseball 9 Definitive Edition. Also mentioned are Disney Sports, Basketball, World Soccer Winning 11-6 Final Evolution, Evolution Snowboarding, 1080° GC, the Baseball 2003 Battle Ballpark Declaration Perfect Play Pro Baseball, Definitive Edition, Nippon Professional Baseball Mizushima Baseball All-Stars vs. Pro Baseball, Mario Golf GC, Mario Tennis GC, Muscle Champion Muscle Island Battle, Momotaro Dentetsu 11 Black Bonbi appears, Roll, and Dokapon DX, a world where everyone is an Oni. The page also includes a small ear catalog section, highlighting Winning 11-6 Final Verse for PS2, noting differences from the PS2 version, and hinting at a potential compilation featuring Nintendo's puzzle classics like Dr. Mario. The reviewer notes that the PS2 version of Winning 11-5 has one more button than the GameCube version. The next page is a comic advertisement for the Game Boy Advance game, Elemix. The ad highlights a crisis in the game's world, stating, "Skip's hometown has an incident?" It summarizes the plot. Skip returns home after half a year of magical training, only to find his town engulfed in flames. The comic panels show the town of Kane burning, Skip encountering distressed villagers, and learning that monsters are attacking the castle and the king is in danger. The advertisement promotes the game's release date as January 3, 2003, with a price of 4,800 yen in the action genre, and encourages readers to submit fan art of the characters Skip and Mel for a chance to win prizes. This page continues the comic advertisement for Elemix. Skip is facing a monster knight, exclaiming, "What is this guy?
He prepares to use fire magic, shouting, "Fireball!" Mel urges Skip to hurry to the castle. Skip expresses concern for his father, the king, hoping he's safe. The final panel shows Skip and Mel entering the castle gate. Quote, "The next page features the cover of Nintendo Dream Volume 80 from December 21, 2002. It promotes The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, with a countdown to its release. The magazine will also feature coverage of Bio and Pokemon. The editor's section includes various topics. The writer admits to feeling under the weather, possibly due to excessive drinking. There's a discussion about a baseball team's off-season acquisitions. A reader enjoys the Pokemon episode series, despite some memory discrepancies. The writer notes the upcoming Zelda release, and a reader recounts going to an air show, mentioning the planes. Another reader shares their disappointment about the Ocarina of Time Master Quest bonus for 64DD owners. Staff credits are listed. The next issue, Volume 81, will be released December 6th. There's also contact information for submissions and inquiries. This page is a full-page advertisement for the Game Boy Advance game Elemental Ring. The ad showcases the protagonist Skip, Prince of Kingdom Kane, and his ability to transform using elemental rings. It also features various supporting characters and monsters, previews of the gameplay, and highlights the game's features: automatic difficulty adjustment, tracking scroll system, and beat system. It also promotes a new action-adventure game where you can defeat enemies. The game will be released in January 2003 and will retail for 4,800 yen. The next page is a promotional advertisement for Mario Party 4 on the Nintendo GameCube. The advertisement features Mario and friends in a party setting, highlighting the game's minigames and 3D boards. The game was released on November 8th and had a suggested retail price of 6,800 yen.